Time now to meet the American and National League All-Stars. Here's Colorado Rockies public address announcer Kelly Burnham.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 69th All-Star Game at beautiful Coors Field in Denver. Let's meet the trainers, coaches, and all-stars from the American League. The trainers from the Detroit Tigers, Russ Miller. From the Minnesota Twins, Dick Martin. The batting practice staff from the Cleveland Indians, Johnny Gorel. Jeff Newman. In the bullpen, Mark Wiley and Luis Isaac. The coaches from the New York Yankees, Joe Torre. From the Oakland Athletics, Art Howe. And now, the American League All-Star Team. From the Anaheim Angels, outfielder Darren Erstad. Pitcher Troy Percival. From the Baltimore Orioles, first baseman Rafael Palmeiro. From the Boston Red Sox, pitcher Tom Gordon. Pitcher Pedro Martinez. From the Chicago White Sox, second baseman Ray Durham. From the Cleveland Indians, shortstop Omar Vizquel. Catcher Sandy Alomar Jr. Outfielder Manny Ramirez. And pitcher Bartolo Colon. From the Detroit Tigers, second baseman Damian Easley. From the Kansas City Royals, third baseman Dean Palmer. From the Minnesota Twins, pitcher Brad Radke. From the New York Yankees, shortstop Derek Jeter. Third baseman Scott Brosius. Outfielder Paul O'Neill. From the Oakland Athletics, outfielder Ben Grieve. From the Tampa Devil Rays, pitcher Orlando Arroyo. From the Texas Rangers, pitcher Aaron Seeley. Pitcher John Whitland. From the Toronto Blue Jays, pitcher Roger Clemens. And now, tonight's starting lineup for the American League. First, the manager of the American League from the Cleveland Indians, Mike Hargrove. Leading off from the Cleveland Indians, outfielder Kenny Lofton. Batting second from the Baltimore Orioles, second baseman Robbie Alomar.
Hello, Robbie.
Batting third, from the Seattle Mariners, outfielder Ken Griffey Jr. Batting fourth, from the Texas Rangers, outfielder Juan Gonzalez. Batting fifth, from the Cleveland Indians, first baseman Jim Thome.
Hello, Jimmy.
Batting sixth, from the Seattle Mariners, shortstop Alex Rodriguez. Batting seventh, from the Texas Rangers, catcher Ivan Rodriguez. Batting eighth, from the Baltimore Orioles, third baseman Cal Ripken Jr. Batting ninth and warming up in the bullpen, the American League starting pitcher from the New York Yankees, David Wells. Ladies and gentlemen, your 1998 American League All-Stars. And now, let's meet the trainers, coaches, and all-stars from the National League. The trainers from the Colorado Rockies, Dave Shalati. From the Philadelphia Phillies, Mark Anderson. The batting practice staff from the Florida Marlins, Bruce Kim. Milt May, Tommy Sant, and Rich Donnelly. The coaches from the Colorado Rockies, Don Baylor. From the Pittsburgh Pirates, Gene Lamont. And now, the National League All-Star Team. From the Arizona Diamondbacks, outfielder Devon White. From the Atlanta Braves, catcher Javi Lopez. First baseman, Andres Galarraga. Pitcher, Tom Glavine. Selected to the team, but unable to play due to injury from the Chicago Cubs, outfielder Sammy Sosa. From the Cincinnati Reds, second baseman Brett Boone. From the Colorado Rockies, third baseman Vinny Castillo. Outfielder Dante Bichette. From the Florida Marlins, shortstop Edgar Renteria. from the Houston Astros, outfielder Moises Alou. From the Los Angeles Dodgers, outfielder Gary Sheffield. Pitcher Jeff Shaw. From the Milwaukee Brewers, second baseman Fernando Pena. From the Montreal Expos, pitcher Uget Urbina. From the New York Mets, pitcher Rick Reed. From the Philadelphia Phillies, pitcher Kurt Schilling. From the Pittsburgh Pirates, catcher Jason Kendall. From the San Diego Padres, outfielder Greg Vaughn. Pitcher Kevin Brown. Pitcher Andy Ashby. Pitcher Trevor Hoffman. From the San Francisco Giants, pitcher Rob Nen. And now, tonight's starting lineup for the National League. First, the manager of the National League from the Florida Marlins, Jim Leyland. Leading off from the Houston Astros, second baseman Craig Biggio.
Have fun, dude.
Batting second from the San Diego Padres, outfielder Tony Gwynn.
Have fun, buddy. Have fun.
Batting third from the St. Louis Cardinals, first baseman Mark McGwire. Batting fourth from the San Francisco Giants, outfielder Barry Bonds.
Come on, buddy.
Batting fifth from the Atlanta Braves, third baseman Chipper Jones.
Have fun, Chipper. Come on.
Batting sixth from the New York Mets, catcher Mike Piazza.
Have fun, Mike.
Batting seventh from your Colorado Rockies, outfielder Larry Walker. Batting eighth from the Atlanta Braves, shortstop Walt Weiss. Batting ninth, warming up in the bullpen, the National League starting pitcher from the Atlanta Braves, Greg Maddux. Ladies and gentlemen, your 1998 National League All-Stars. Tonight, to present our colors on behalf of our joint nations of the United States and Canada, is the High Plains Honor Guard from the NORAD military base. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the singing of the Canadian National Anthem, to be performed by Emmy-nominated actress Gloria Reuben.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, and all thy sons commend. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
And now, to honor America, please join in the singing of the United States National Anthem, as performed this evening by award-winning country music recording artist Faith Hill.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Bob Costas and Joe Morgan with the first pitch of the 1998 All-Star Game after these messages.
The 1998 Major League Baseball All-Star Game.
With some of the hitters assembled for the 69th All-Star Game, you don't need a launching pad, but we have one in Coors Field. Over the last 4 seasons, as we mentioned earlier, more runs have been scored here, more home runs hit here than in any other park in the major leagues, and as you see, it isn't even close. Bob Costas back in the booth, and this time we welcome in longtime All-Star, Hall of Famer, one of the game's all-time greats, Joe Morgan. Joe, we've been talking about all the hitting around Major League Baseball, and rightly so, but now let's focus on the pitchers. Tonight's starters, Greg Maddux, as close to perfect as a pitcher can get, and David Wells for the American League, who for one day at least literally was perfect earlier this year.
Well, you're right, Bob. And one of the all-time great cliches in baseball states that great pitching will stop great hitting. And over the years, that has proven to be true. But what we'll find out tonight is whether great pitching can stop great hitting in a great hitting ballpark. Well, we have a great pitcher on the mound tonight in Greg Maddux, probably the best pitcher in the game today. And his first confrontation against a great hitter will come in the first inning against Ken Griffey Jr. And this was a confrontation they had in 1992. Maddux comes out on the short end. Ken Griffey Jr. hit a home run. The next time they faced in '94, Griffey hit a double. So Greg Maddux has not fared well in all-star competition.
But just about everywhere else where it counts, you see what he does. Ranking #1 in all the important pitching categories in the National League, except complete games there. He's just one behind the Phillies' Kurt Schilling. But here's the daunting statistic for Greg Maddux. This is by far his least favorite park. His ERA at Coors over the years is nearly 9. Now, you would think when you talk about the light air here that David Wells would be the guy who would find it the more difficult park in which to pitch because he gives up more home runs.
Well, you're right. He throws the high fastball, and that equates into a lot of fly balls. And fly balls in this ballpark have a tendency to come down on the other side of the fence instead of in this outfielder's glove. So I expect a few home runs to be hit in this ball game before it's over tonight.
So Maddux and Wells are the opening pitchers. Just a few minutes ago, though, actually, the first pitch was thrown. 12-year-old Ellis Clements, a member of the Denver Metro Boys and Girls Club, threw it out. With the assistance of Hall of Famer Frank Robinson, Ellis's first pitch culminated the MasterCard catch across Denver, a nearly 3-mile human chain of catch, which took place throughout the city Tuesday and involved 1,000 area children and Boys and Girls Club members. This is a part of MasterCard's program, which donates a percentage of each transaction to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, MasterCard's and Major League Baseball's charitable partner. And the National Leaguers take the field. While we have a chance, perhaps we can take a look at the dimensions here at Coors Field. Because of the thin air, this ballpark literally almost exactly a mile high, 5,282 feet. The ball really flies, but as you see in terms of dimensions, it's not a bandbox. 347 and 350 down the lines, 390 into one of the gaps, and 415 to the fountain and the rock pile in dead center field. Greg Maddux is 12-2. His ERA a microscopic 1.54. He's thrown 4 shutouts, including his last 2 starts prior to the All-Star game. Look at that. 17 walks in 146 and a third innings pitched. Look at that strikeout to walk ratio. He averages 1 walk per 9 innings pitched.
Well, he has a lot of weapons to work with. He has a sinker that he runs away from the left-handed hitter. He has a cut fastball he throws, but he always keeps the hitters off balance with his changeup. He has an outstanding changeup, and the key to his changeup is his arm speed. He keeps the same arm speed on all of his pitches. And let's take a look at the defense that will be behind Maddux today. Of course, Mark McGwire and Wise and Chipper Jones on the infield, along with Craig Biggio. Mike Piazza behind the plate. Look at that, 27 Golden Gloves amongst them.
8 of those Gold Gloves belong to Greg Maddux. He's won them in succession. McGwire, a much better fielding first baseman than people might realize, what with all of his long ball hitting exploits. Quick look at the umpires. A mixed crew, of course, National and American League. Ed Montague has the plate. Darrell Cousins first base. Brian Gorman, the son of the late National League umpire Tom Gorman, one of the great ones. Brian Gorman at second, Rick Reed at third, Rich Rieker on the left field line, and Tim McClellan will call the plays down the right field line. And here we go. Maddux to face Kenny Lofton, his teammate a year ago with the Atlanta Braves. Lofton, of course, back with the Cleveland Indians now, where he seems more comfortable.
And Bob, I think it's important that they have a National League umpire behind the plate here for Greg Maddux.
With the flash bulbs popping, the first pitch is a called strike. Up high, 1-1. Lofton is one of 6 Indians in the game. There are also 6 Braves and 5 Padres. Those are the teams with the most representatives. Down low, 2-1. Of course, there are also 6 members of last year's world champion Marlins. Unfortunately for Jim Leyland, 5 of them play now for other teams. 2-1 pitch, line toward left center field, and it gets down for a hit. Lofton, who has stolen 27, is aboard to start the game.
And one thing to remember about Greg Maddux, he does not hold runners well. Most of the teams in the National League try to run on him because he's not concerned with the runners. He really doesn't have that many that often, but he's easy to run on.
Robbie Alomar in his 9th All-Star game, 8 in succession. Lofton goes on the first pitch. Piazza up and won't get him.
And that base was stolen on Greg Maddux. No chance for Piazza to make a good throw. And Kenny Lofton, playing with Greg Maddux last year, already knows his move. Look at that, a perfect jump by Kenny Lofton. Mike Piazza comes up, he throws a strike, but it's just too late.
The 0-1 pitch to Alomar. He bunts one toward first, may beat it out. McGuire up with it to Maddux, covering, safe. Runners at the corners with nobody out.
Very unusual there, Bob, because Greg Maddux, as you mentioned, has won 8 straight Gold Gloves. He's a great fielding pitcher. He actually stumbled trying to get off the mound, and he could not get to first base in time. Roberto Alomar beats him, and you'll see Alomar ahead of him at the bag.
So now Griffey, who decided at the last minute to participate in the home run derby yesterday and won it. He, McGuire, and Sosa all on a 60-plus home run pace in the pursuit of Roger Maris. Maddux in a first-inning jam. Down and in.
And we've mentioned that Maddux has not pitched really well in all-star competition in the past. He has always struggled.
It doesn't get any easier. Juan Gonzalez will be next. A ball and a strike.
That's the pitch that he needs to be able to control, which he normally has control of. That was a changeup. You could see Ken Griffey Jr. way out in front. The changeup helps him in 2 ways. It makes the hitter wait a little longer so that his fastball becomes more effective. And in most cases, hitters get way out in front of the changeup.
Alomar from first. Griffey is jammed and pops it up in foul ground. McGuire has it for the first out.
And you can see the game plan for the American Leaguers right here in the first inning. They're going to try to run Greg Maddux out of this ball game. I don't think that was a good play right there because you have Ken Griffey Jr. up, and a lot of times it bothers some hitters when a runner takes off. That pitch was up and out of the strike zone, and Griffey chased it.
Joe Torre, one of Mike Hargrove's coaches, conferring with him in the American League dugout. Gonzalez concluded the first half with a pair of 2-run homers Sunday night in Texas to hike that RBI total over 100. Ball 1.
This is where Greg Maddux is at his best, though, when he needs a ground ball. He can usually get the ground ball, and if he can get one here, he can get out of the inning unscored upon.
In there for a strike. Hard to believe. This is only Gonzalez's 2nd All-Star appearance. Played in the '93 game at Camden Yards.
This is what Greg Maddux does so well. This is almost a perfect pitch. Right on the outside corner, knee high. Look at that. Hits the target just about all the time. Watch the target from the catcher.
A line drive, foul. A ball and 2 strikes on Gonzalez in an RBI spot, whether or not he overtakes Hack Wilson for that seemingly unreachable record of 190. At his present pace, he's almost a cinch to drive in more runs than any major leaguer in the last 50 years. As you see, he's just slightly behind Hack Wilson's RBI per game pace. Gonzalez does ground into a lot of double plays. The runner goes from first, and Gonzalez spoils it.
Unlike with Ken Griffey at the plate, I think it's a good play to run with Gonzalez at the plate to stay out of the double play. So I think that was a good move there by Alomar to try to get to second base and stay out of the double play situation.
Lofton, who singled and stole a base, is at third after moving up on the bunt single by Alomar, who remains at first. And And this one is served down the right field line, and no play on it. The count holds 1-2.
Look for Greg Maddux to come off the plate inside or try something inside, because Juan Gonzalez has been leaning out, reaching out, fouling off good pitches by Maddux.
Gonzalez with the huge lead in the American League RBI race. Mark McGwire leads the NL with 87. Another 1-2 pitch with Alomar going. Broken bat. Maddux has it. Looks the runner back to third as Alomar advances, and he throws Gonzalez out.
That is why Greg Maddux is so tough. He had Gonzalez leaning out over the plate, fouling pitches off. So he says, now I will bust him inside. Now watch, he comes right inside, breaks his bat, right back to Maddux. Only the fact that Alomar was running kept him out of the double play. So now he still has a situation where he can get out of the inning without any run scoring. Fastball right on the inside corner. Perfect pitch after all the fastballs and pitches away.
And you don't have to be the hardest thrower in the game. If you put it in the right place, especially with guys using these thin-handled bats, you can saw a guy off, as Maddux did to Gonzalez there. Still far from out of the woods as he faces Thome. Foul back, strike one. Thome walloped 40 a year ago as the Indians won the American League pennant, on an even better pace this year with 23 at the break.
And he was a star actually of yesterday's home run derby. Hit several balls into the upper deck here.
1-1. Lofton at third. Robbie Alomar at second. 2 down in the American League first. Off the corner, 2-1. Alex Rodriguez waits on deck. Maddux falls behind, 3-1.
Well, he's being very careful with Thome, and remember, Thome has faced him before, so Thome has an idea of how Maddux pitches, but he's not going to give in and give Thome a pitch to hit when he has a right-hander on deck and a base open.
The Indians, of course, face the Braves in the '95 World Series. The 3-1. Full count.
Beautiful pitch there by Maddux, right in under the hands. Throw him a change-up away. Now he comes off the plate, inside and up. Look at it. This is off the plate, inside and up. And if you want to swing at it, he says, go ahead. If you want to take it, take ball 4. I'm not going to give in to you.
And the 3-2 pitch. We'll do it again. With Mark McGwire off to the National League and Frank Thomas slumping this year, it opened first base up a little bit in the American League, and Jim Thome overtook Tino Martinez of the Yankees late in the balloting, just before the last of the ballots were counted. Another 3-2 pitch. Walked him, bases loaded. Pennant-winning managers, of course, get the honor of leading the All-Star teams. Never has a manager seen his team change so much in the space of just weeks or months as Jim Leyland, from world champs to a team struggling just to be competitive. Here's Rodriguez. Fouls it off. Interestingly, with all the great hitters, all the sluggers through the years since 1933 in the All-Star game, there has been only one grand slam by the American League's Fred Lynn at the old Comiskey Park in Chicago in 1983.
For one of my former teammates, Adley Hammaker.
Maddox quickly ahead of Rodriguez, 0-2. In a normal game, when you pitch around the likes of Thome, you do it to get to somebody easier to handle. Rodriguez is a right-handed hitter, but there are no soft spots in this lineup until you get down to the pitcher. Called strike 3. Maddox squirms out of a first-inning jam. No score as we move to the bottom half. The American League threatens but doesn't break through in the top half of the first against Greg Maddux. And now David Wells to the mound for the American League. 2 of his 11 wins were shutouts. One of those, the May 17th perfecto at Yankee Stadium against the Twins. Only the 15th perfect game in this century in the major leagues. This is his second All-Star appearance. He made it in 1995 while a member of the Tigers and pitched a third of an inning in Texas. He has pitched only once in this ballpark. In September of '95, he allowed 6 runs and 10 hits in 4 1/3, so he didn't fare well. Here's the defense behind him.
And this is a fine defense. Roberto Alomar, Gold Glove winner at short, and Ken Griffey Jr. and Lofton in left. And Ivan Rodriguez, one of the greatest catchers ever behind the plate. 22 Gold Gloves amongst their starters. There's Ivan.
This is just astounding. Ivan Rodriguez has thrown out 67% of those who have dared to run against him. Anything around 35-40% is thought to be excellent. This guy's catching 2/3 of those foolish enough to try.
This exact number, Bob, is even worse than 27 out of 40. You're right. I mean, that's amazing. 13 players have made it in 40 attempts. Unbelievable.
The Astros' Craig Biggio starts it off. And Wells starts him with a high fastball for ball 1. This for Biggio is his 7th All-Star appearance. The first time he made it, back in '91, it was as a catcher. And they realized he was such a good all-round player and had such good speed, they didn't want him squatting every day and night behind the plate. 1-1. One of the game's unheralded stars.
I think people really realize that he's what makes the Astros go. I mean,
a ball and 2 strikes.
Bob, what you can look for from David Wells is the fastball, basically the high fastball. He throws a curveball, and he will mix in an occasional changeup, but he lives by the fastball.
Biggio will be followed by Gwynn and McGuire in the bottom of the first. Changeup fouled off. It'll make the seats. The series stands 40 wins for the National League, 27 for the American, and there was one tie. The Americans won last year in Cleveland 3-1, snapping a 3-game National League winning streak. Prior to that, the American League had reeled off 6 victories in a row. Struck him out.
Another changeup. That was beautifully disguised. Good arm speed. Watch the arm speed on this changeup. You cannot tell the difference between this and his fastball. And this is just a beautiful changeup down and away from the right-handed hitter. See the rotation moving away. You can see his fingers holding it, gripping it tight. Now watch where the location. Look at this. Doesn't get any better than that. Great pitch.
Up steps Tony Gwynn, taking ball 1. He's hitting .329, which for him means he's slumping. In the last 5 years, his lowest season-ending average has been .353. He's won 8 batting titles, including the last 4 straight. In on his hands and popped into shallow left center field. It'll be Lofton for the catch. 2 Gold Glove quality center fielders. Griffey gets the honor of starting in center with Lofton moving to left. And now the big ovation for this season's biggest story, Mark McGuire.
Mark McGuire gets a lot of base on balls during the year, but I expect David Wells to go after him. David Wells is that kind of a pitcher. His mentality is, I'll go after him. Let's see what happens.
You can feel the anticipation all over Coors Field. First pitch cut on and missed.
That's David Wells right there. Let's see what you can do with this one, big boy. And he turns the fastball loose right after him. I expect David Wells to go after him. He's going to mix in some breaking balls, but this is his bread and butter pitch. This is his fastball. He just reaches back and lets it go.
Next one high and away to Mark McGwire, born October 1st, 1963, 2 years to the day after Roger Maris hit his 61st. Neither he nor Maris has an all-star home run. Broken bat, you could hear it shatter all over the park. And Rodriguez throws him out. So the National Leaguers go quietly in the bottom half of the first. No score after one.
And this is why Greg Maddux is a great pitcher. This is a perfect pitch on the outside corner to retire Rodriguez after getting Griffey and Gonzalez. And listen to Jim Leland when he comes in.
Nice going. Hell of a pitch, that baby. That's why you're the best, baby. Hell of a pitch.
Leland is just jazzed to have some real players around him for a change after the fire sale in Florida. Maddux faces Ivan Rodriguez as we move to the second and starts him with ball one. Rodriguez in contention for the batting title at 350, a rarity for a catcher. Lines this one to right, and it falls for a hit. Tony Gwynn gets it back in.
And that is Rodriguez at his best. He hits everything to right field. Even a perfect pitch from Maddux doesn't get him out. He goes the other way. He doesn't try to pull it. Watch this location. Look at this pitch. Right on the outside corner, knee high. He just takes it and rips it the other way. That's how you hit 350.
Up steps Ripken. Even at this stage, and he'll be 38 in August, the second leading vote getter behind Ken Griffey Jr. of the Mariners, who obviously is in the prime of his career. On the first pitch, a bouncing ball. Biggio has it to Weiss for one. Easy double play.
When Greg Maddux is on the mound and he needs a ground ball, I mean, he just seems to be able to get it whenever he needs it. And again, that's what makes him so consistent and the best pitcher in the game today. Little sinker away. Ripken didn't try to pull it. He went the other way. Nice pickup by Biggio. Over to Weiss. And there's the pitcher's best friend. 4-6-3.
Which means that Wells bats now with 2 out and the bases empty. 1 for 4 at the plate in interleague play this year. His boyhood hero, the Bambino Babe Ruth. They won't issue number 3 to any Yankee since the Sultan of Swat, so he wears 33 and cuts a somewhat Ruthian figure at the plate.
He also has a great time. I mean, he loves the game. He loves life. He just has a good time. Look at him. He's smiling because that pitch was way inside off of Maddux.
1-0 pitch. Again, Biggio. In contrast to the first, Maddux sails through the second. After 1.5, no score in the 69th All-Star game.
Welcome back to Denver. I'm Jim Gray. No score as we head to the bottom of the second inning. Greg Maddux gets through his 2 innings. You're finished now for the day, Greg. A little bit of a struggle. How would you assess your performance?
Hey, it's a good outing in Mile High, man. You don't give up any runs. That's pretty good. It was a struggle. You know, I thought Rodriguez hit a pretty good pitch, you know, and Robbie laid down a good bunt. And, you know, some good hitters, man. Tough lineup, tough park. I'm happy. You know, I'm still breathing. I'm happy.
Would you like in a game like this to be able to continue since you are facing the best, or you just as soon sit down now having given up no runs?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it works both ways. I mean, you realize there are 10 pitchers here, and everybody deserves the right to pitch. And I've been fortunate enough to pitch in these before, and it's great. It's a lot of fun, and, you know, you get guys like Ashby out there and Rick Reed that haven't had a chance to pitch in these. It's great for them to go ahead and have their chance, too.
All right, Greg. Good luck in the second half of the season with the Braves.
Thank you. All right, thanks.
Back upstairs to you, Bob.
Jim, thanks a lot. It'll be Bonds, Piazza, and Chipper Jones to face David Wells in the bottom half of the second. Not that you approach this game with strategy as your first priority, but David Wells is the only left-hander on Mike Hargrove's staff, so once he's done, he won't be able to make any lefty-righty switches. On the corner, 1-2. And we're told that it'll be 2 innings and out for David Wells, just as it was for Maddox of the National League. 2-2.
Bob, Barry Bonds needs 8 home runs to be the first player in Major League history to have 400 home runs and 400 steals. There's only 3 players with 300 home runs and 300 steals, so he's looking at a milestone here before the season is over.
And a full count.
And look at those numbers. His father, Bobby Bonds, Andre Dawson, and the great Willie Mays. Only players in the history of the game with 300 home runs and 300 steals.
Well, stopping at the top of his motion. They flip-flop Jones and Piazza from the originally announced lineup, so Jones is on deck, and Piazza, we assume, will follow him. And Bonds opens the bottom of the second with a walk. Folks, you can log on to MSNBCSports.com for a comprehensive in-progress total cast of tonight's All-Star Game, which features real-time stats, pitching and hitting charts, and a play-by-play summary. Plus, check out a survey of baseball's GMs on topics such as who is the game's best player, all at MSNBCSports.com.
Bob, this is interesting that they flip-flopped the two because Chipper Jones is not a power hitter from the right side. All of his power is from the left side, and Piazza is a good power hitter from the right side against Wells.
Adam out in front, 0-1. Jones is hitting .309 with 21 homers and 69 ribbies at the break.
But not nearly as effective power-wise from the right side. He does not have a home run this year from the right side.
And if memory serves, he hit only 1 from the right side last year.
So our first chance to second guess somebody, right?
Jim Leland can't even catch a break during this season on All-Star night. He's never going to have an easy ride.
He is a great manager, though. And a great guy, too.
Two balls and a strike to Chipper Jones. Piazza on deck. And then the Rockies' Larry Walker. Count levels at 2-2. When you look at Wells of the Yankees, and you think about the Yankees' start, 61-20, and this after losing 4 of their first 5. It's the best mark ever at the All-Star break, remembering that until 1933 there was no All-Star game. What kind of finish do you look for from Joe Torre's club?
Well, they're a very professional group of guys. I mean, they are a great team.
2-2 pitch. Potential double play ball. There's 1, there's 2.
Job by David Wells to get the ground ball for his infield. High sinker, but Chipper Jones gets on top of it. A-Rod to Roberto Alomar. And an easy 6-4-3 double play.
So now Piazza hits with the bases empty. He had a home run in the '95 game at Texas. He was the MVP the next year with a homer off Charles Nagy and a double in Philadelphia as the National League won 6-0. With his 3rd team this year, began of course with the Dodgers. Brief stopover in Florida until the Marlins could figure out how to get rid of his salary before a single payroll day came due. And now with the Mets. Sky-high pop into shallow center field. Alomar and Rodriguez both out, and it's Robbie. So like Maddox, Wells works 2 scoreless innings. You're watching baseball's All-Star Game.
Keith Olbermann in Denver. David Wells' night is done, and I guess the big thing here is you got to hit in an All-Star game.
It was exciting, you know. It's something that everyone looks forward to as a pitcher would, and you know, I'm just happy to make some contact there and make it look a little better than a strikeout.
You seem to make better contact than when Mark McGwire faced you. You went right after him, as Joe Morgan said. His props to you, Joe passes on.
Well, thank you, Joe, and you know, that's something that I've always done with Mark, is just come right after him and try not to make a mistake inside. You know, that's one thing you got to do with that big guy. You got to take away his power, and I think the more you stay in on him, the better off you are. And if you make a mistake, then you're in trouble. So that's my theory. Just go right after them and take away their strength.
How challenging is it for the pitchers tonight to try to avoid the home run in this ballpark where everyone is expecting a dozen of them?
Well, I'll tell you, warming up was pretty scary. You know, my sinker just did not move at all. So the best thing to do is just keep it down, and hopefully they hit it on the ground. And I think anything up is a mistake here.
David, congratulations on 2 hitless innings.
Thank you very much.
Bob, back to you. Roger Clemens will be next for the American League.
Keith, thanks a lot. Tom Glavine is next for the National League, succeeding his Brave teammate Maddox. Glavine is 12-3 this year, a 6-time All-Star, the loser of the '92 game at San Diego. He's pitched much better on the road than in Atlanta this season, 7-0 away from Turner Field. A ball and a strike to Kenny Lofton, who singled his first time up. Moves him away, 2-1.
Bob, David Wells expressed some theories that other pitchers have expressed about this ballpark, that his sinker didn't sink as well, and curveball pitchers say that their breaking ball doesn't break as sharply here.
Why would that be?
Thin air, I guess, is the only reason you can think of, but that's what a lot of pitchers have said. Great curveball pitchers do not have as good a curveball here. Sinker ball pitchers, it doesn't sink as well.
3-1 pitch, sounded like a broken bat, and Lofton walks away in search of new lumber.
The players say that is deep in his kitchen.
It's all the way into the pantry and the cupboard.
Well, he threw him a pitch away, and then watch, he runs the fastball in. Watch this pitch. It starts over the plate and just keeps running in, and Lofton just handcuffed. Good pitch by Glavine. Whenever you jam a hitter, it just opens up the outside part of the plate, because he's not going to let you do that again.
And here's Glavine's 3-2 pitch. Walked him. Up in the thin air of Denver. Aerial shots brought to you by Pepsi, the choice of Major League Baseball, from the Pepsi Aerial Cam. So Lofton stole a base in the first inning following his single. 5-time American League stolen base leader, but this year well behind 39-year-old Rickey Henderson, who's a marvel. Rickey perhaps deserves to be here tonight. 37 steals to lead the majors.
A lot of players have statistics and good enough averages to be here, but there are only so many All-Stars, so many spots on the roster.
Alomar turns around and bats from the right side against Glavine. On the corner, 0-2. There's a look at the American League leaders as Lofton edges away from first. Foul back, and it holds 0-2.
And at the bottom of that list was Alex Rodriguez. He's on a pace to hit 40 home runs or more and steal 40 bases, and only Barry Bonds and Jose Canseco has been able to do that before. But he's on pace to make it easily.
The 0-2 pitch to Alomar, who had a bunt single his first time up, way outside. This is the walk year of Alomar's contract, and we've heard that the Orioles are shopping him. That wouldn't have happened in a different era of baseball, a player of this caliber.
There are a couple of guys probably here at the All-Star team that may not end up with the same team that we're at in the first half, or with in the first half.
Lofton's not going, and it's fouled back. There are 13 players on the 2 All-Star teams tonight who are with a different team now than the team with which they began last season, who have changed teams within the year. 13 All-Star players. When All-Stars were traded in the past, it was a blockbuster. Now it's virtually commonplace. 2-2. And despite all the great things happening on the field, the tremendous performances, the interest in the big interleague series, everything that's on an uptick for baseball, the lack of continuity and the continuing disparity in payrolls is an underlying problem. The 2-2. And Alomar spoils it. Here's a perfect, almost comical example of that. Jeff Shaw of the Dodgers. The first time he has worn a Dodger uniform is tonight. The Reds traded their closer over the weekend, just prior to the All-Star game, to Los Angeles. He makes his Dodger debut in the All-Star game. There he is. Go figure. And a high pop-up. Biggio wants it. That's the first out on the top of the 3rd.
And Bob, a lot of people will say, well, why wouldn't they make the trade after the All-Star break? Well, the reason is the Dodgers are going to start the second half against the San Diego Padres, and that's who they're trying to catch, in their division. So they wanted him available for that series.
Now Griffey, who fouled out against Maddox in the first. Last year's unanimous American League Most Valuable Player and the All-Star MVP in 1992 in San Diego when he went 3 for 3, including a home run off Maddox. Got the corner.
The amazing thing about Ken Griffey Jr. is that he hits with just as much power against left-handed pitching as he does against right-handed pitchers, and that's really unusual.
One out, one on, and the 0-1 pitch. Misses. That buzzing you're hearing overhead, well, there's your culprit. Sincerely hope Charles Lindbergh is enjoying the All-Star game. The 1-1 pitch. Outside, 2-1. Imagine slugging .678, Joe, and only being second. McGuire slugging .769. A liner toward right center field. That drops for a hit. Wheeling around second is Lofton. He'll make it to third easily. Runners at the corners with 1 out on the Griffey single.
Even though he gets jammed a little bit on this pitch, that's the reason that Ken Griffey Jr. hits left-handers so well. If you watch his front shoulder, it never moves out. Just watch his front shoulder. This is the key to being successful. Look at his right shoulder. It never pulls off. And he hits a line drive into right center field. A lot of left-handers pull away from left-handed pitching, and that's why they have a problem. Front shoulder right there. Beautiful swing. And he hits a line drive in the right center field.
Another RBI spot for the Major League's RBI leader, Juan Gonzalez. In the first, with runners at first and third and 1 out, he grounded to the box and couldn't bring anybody home. Swing and a miss against Glavine.
Glavine, unlike Maddox, will just stay out there. He stays out over the outside part of the plate and a little off. Maddox moves the ball around, as we saw him come in and jam Gonzalez after a couple of pitches away.
Went a bit outside the strike zone, it appeared, and now he's in an 0-2 hole.
And that's Glavine. He will throw one on the corner, the next one's just off, and this one will be just off. I mean, that's the way he pitches.
Glavine is the only lefty on Jim Leyland's staff, so once he's gone, the strategy is cut into a bit. Outside 1-2.
the theory is that these are all all-star pitchers, and they've been able to get left-handers out as well as right-handers, so they're not going to worry about the fact of a matchup later in the ballgame.
Plus, it's the honor. If a guy is deserving, it's hard enough. Several deserving pitchers and position players have to be left out anyway. You can't start worrying about lefty-righty. This one is popped to the right side, shallow right field. Gwynn going in, Biggio out, and Biggio ranging to the foul line for the catch. And once again, Gonzalez fails to bring anybody home. That hasn't happened often during the regular season.
Well, this is a good pitch from Glavine. It's actually out of the strike zone. High fastball. You see it goes way up out of the strike zone. He can't handle that pitch. This is why the Braves pitchers are so good. They make perfect pitches, and then that was an anticipated pitch. Piazza asked for that pitch up and out of the strike zone, and that's exactly where Glavine threw it.
Tommy drew a walk his first time up. Ball one. The American Leaguers have 4 hits. The National Leaguers none. The AL threatened in the first and again here in the third. Skied towards shallow left. Barry Bonds loping toward the line into foul ground to tuck it away. In the fashion of his boyhood idol, Willie Mays. We go to the bottom of the third. No one's broken through yet. As the National Leaguers come up in the third at Coors Field, Roger Clemens comes out of the American League bullpen. Keith Olbermann tells us from downstairs that Clemens will throw only 1 inning. Big reception now from the home crowd for the Rockies' Larry Walker. So knowing that he has to face only 4 or 5 hitters, whatever it is, maybe only as few as 3, he can really let the throttle out, speaking of Clemens. First one is high to Walker.
Bob, that's one of the reasons that pitchers have fared so well in all-star competition. They only have to go an inning or 2 and they can let it all go. Whereas over the course of a season, they got to pace themselves a little bit, meaning the starting pitchers to go, 7, 8, 9 innings. In an all-star game, you just go out and let it go.
Two and 1 to Walker, who's getting married tomorrow in Denver with most of his teammates in attendance. Full house tonight for what amounts to his bachelor party. What a sad surprise when it's Roger Clemens who pops out of the cake. 2 and 2. Last year he had one of the great years in modern history. 366, 49 homers, 130 driven home, and he slugged .720. He's hitting .331 this year, but with only 9 home runs. Spent a spell on the DL with an injured elbow. Still 2 and 2. I mean, look at that. 1997. That's like a Stan Musial, Ted Williams type season.
And the problem with him, Bob, so far this season has been he hurt his right elbow. He had surgery on it in the winter, and he doesn't get the same extension he did last year. That's why he doesn't hit for as much power. He doesn't drive the ball like he did last year. It's because of the elbow. And he came off the DL a couple of days ago, and he's starting here in the All-Star game.
Payoff pitch to him. And he draws a leadoff walk. And now listen to the response for Walt Weiss. That's his 3-year-old son, Brody, who only a short while ago was in the hospital and it was touch and go. Could have gone either way. He contracted the E. coli virus in a swimming pool incident. Staged a remarkable recovery. And is here to watch his dad perform in his first All-Star game. Weiss, of course, is a former Rocky, so the fans feel warmly toward him here. 10th year in the majors, first time as an All-Star. 0-2. in front of the charging Lofton. Brody seems pleased, as are the National League rooters.
High fastball, and he jams Weiss. He just kind of flips it over shortstop. And Brody loves it, and so does his wife.
So runners at first and second with nobody out. Rodriguez and Ripken confer with Clemens. Glavine is a very good hitting pitcher, as is Greg Maddux, his Atlanta teammate for that matter. But it leads me to this question. Regardless of how you feel about the DH in the regular season, can you tell me why, Joe, a pitcher should ever bat in an all-star game?
Where's Bob Uecker when I need him? I don't have the answer to that, Bob, but...
Glavine looks to bunt and lays one down smartly. Ripken at third throws him out. Of course, why should Bob Uecker ever bat in an all-star game is another question.
Well, I mean, that's a good point. And maybe they should do as they do, you know, oftentimes. I guess it's just the way the game is played. I happen to, we both agree that the DH is not the greatest thing throughout the season, but maybe for this game it could be changed. But again, I think the one thing about an all-star game, this is the same game that the people see every day with the greatest players playing it, and maybe they do not want to deviate from that.
Mike Hargrove decides to pull his infield in. Runners at second and third with one out. A scoreless game in the bottom of the third. And Biggio fouls it off. He struck out against David Wells in the first. Normally, especially at Coors Field, you wouldn't pull your infield in this early in the game. 0-2.
And you're right. And being honest with you, I don't understand it so much right here. The last thing you want is a bloop for a base hit. The reason that a lot of bloops fall in this ballpark is because the outfielders have to play so deep, because it is a big ballpark and the ball does carry. So anything hit shallow will usually drop in.
Did it hit him? It did. It barely grazed him. If you're going to be hit, that's the way you like to have it happen. Now the bases are loaded.
Well, Biggio stays in. He doesn't pull off, and he gets hit quite often along with his fellow teammate Jeff Bagwell. They get hit quite often. Biggio goes into the ball right there. He stays, and Roger Clemens' fastball nips him on the arm as it goes by.
Hit by a pitch on an 0-2 count. That hurts Clemens a lot more than it does Biggio. Now he has to face Gwynn. A .340 career hitter was never really shined in the All-Star game. .222 in All-Star play. This is the 14th time he's been selected. Got the corner. McGuire on deck. 2 balls and a strike to Tony Gwynn, who's 10 points behind the Cardinals' Brian Jordan in the National League batting race. It's nothing for him to make up in the second half.
He can make that up in a day. I mean, he goes 5 for 5 or 6 for 6.
Toward the middle. It's off Alomar's glove. A run is home, and then 2. Gwynn with a huge turnaround first because Tomey had sped to the middle of the diamond. Now he trots back. 2 runs home, and runners at first and third for McGuire.
Well, Tony Gwynn is just a great hitter. He's always going to put the ball in play, stays on top of the ball. Alomar almost gets this ball. Gwynn grounds it right back through the middle. Look at this good jump by Alomar, and he just can't quite corral it. The ball took a funny hop, bounce up off his glove. Watch it, bounces up, hits him on the wrist, and that's the reason he wasn't able to get it. He got there in time, but the ball took an erratic bounce. Right there, you see the high hop. Good effort there by Alomar.
And now McGuire. Fastball high for ball 1. No one has handled McGuire as well as Clemens through the years. Mark is only 4 for 47 against Roger. and he's fanned 14 times. He's hitting .085 lifetime against the Rocket.
And that doesn't surprise me, Bob, because the Rocket has a great fastball, and especially early in his career, McGwire had a big hole inside and above the belt. That hole is not nearly as big now as it was at the beginning, but Roger Clemens knows how to pitch up and in, and he also has a great splitter and the breaking ball away. So he has all the tools to handle McGwire with.
Two balls and a strike, even though McGwire approached the All-Star break homerless in his last 11 at-bats, which for him is a major slump. At present, he's on a 70 home run pace.
That would take the suspense out of the last couple of weeks, wouldn't it?
It wouldn't just break it, it would demolish it. Good pitch, 2-2.
This is why Roger Clemens can handle him. He threw a fastball in, so he keeps McGwire aware of that pitch. Now he throws a slider knee high and over the outside corner. Not much McGwire could do with that pitch. Splitter.
McGwire gets a piece of it. Count holds 2-2.
Not a good pitch there by Roger Clemens. He got away with that pitch. It's supposed to be a splitter down and away. This is a splitter over the inner half of the plate, and watch, McGwire just misses it. So he gets a pitch to hit, not the location that he was trying to accomplish, where he was trying to throw that pitch.
Struck him out. So Clemens' mastery of McGwire continues.
And I think Roger Clemens knows what he wants to do with McGwire, even on every pitch. Now watch, he comes inside right there. That's the pitch that sets everything else up. That opens the outside corner because McGwire is so aware of it. Everything away, then back inside, then here, right away again, and that's just perfect pitching. I mean, and that's why we always say good pitching can dominate good hitting, because if you make good pitches, you can get them out.
Now Bonds taking ball one. Talk about Hall of Fame matchups. Clemens is a lock. So is Gwynn, who singled off him. So is McGwire, who struck out. And now Bonds, who's headed for Cooperstown as well. Left field. Lofton started in. Now goes back. Ball really carrying. Near the fence. He's got it. National League scores 2, leaves 2. And we're back after these words from your local station. You're watching the All-Star Game on NBC.
Keith Olbermann back at the All-Star Game in Denver with Roger Clemens, and that's an easy assignment there. 3 probable Hall of Famers in a row to face in your All-Star inning.
Yeah, beautiful. It was especially here, and but it was a good battle. I figured that I'd face Big Mac there, and I tried to pour it on and let him speak for the fences.
Could be a tough night for him. He could be facing a lot of determined pitchers like yourself. We saw that earlier with Wells.
Well, again, I think that you know, once you get a few guys on and then Big Mac comes up, you know, you can feel the electricity. And I got a couple behind, thank goodness. It went a long way. Bonds' ball, it was a pop-up, and it went to the warning track. I had to hold my breath there for a minute.
Do you think this might be a home run park?
Not at all. It's carrying indoor around here too, I think.
Congratulations on another appearance, Roger. We appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you.
Roger Clemens of the American League. Brad Radke will be next. Bob, back up to you.
Keith, Roger, thanks a lot. Roger Clemens recently passing 3,000 career strikeouts. Did it in his last start prior to the All-Star Game. There's the all-time leader, Nolan Ryan. This is mind-boggling. Ryan with almost twice as many. Better than 5,700. Talk about an unreachable record. That, Cy Young's 511 career victories. Hard to imagine anybody approaching those marks. Walter Johnson's 100-plus shutouts, since complete games are a relative rarity these days. Those marks seem set in stone. Glavin's 1-2 pitch to Alex Rodriguez. Reached for it and tapped it foul. Only 2 shortstops in history have ever hit 40 home runs. Rico Petrocelli of the Red Sox exactly 40 once. The great Ernie Banks 5 times 40 or more with a high of 47. Rodriguez seems certain to join them and maybe surpass them. Fights it off, and it's still 1-2.
Great Ernie Banks. That's an amazing number for a shortstop, and as you mentioned, you know, Rodriguez has a chance to join that group.
Outside 2-2. All this, and Rodriguez doesn't even turn 23 until later this month. Reaches for it and pokes it through the right side for a leadoff hit. This weekend, NBC proudly presents two of the most acclaimed miniseries ever. Friday and Saturday, Ted Danson stars in Gulliver's Travels. Then on Sunday and Monday, The Odyssey. NBC's big event weekend begins at 9, 8 Central, NBC Friday. So we'll have Homer on Friday with The Odyssey. No homers here tonight, despite all the sluggers. I don't know what came over me. Ivan Rodriguez. Fouled off, strike one.
Maybe the cliche works. And if you're a great pitcher, you can hold down these great hitters.
Neither leading hitter is in this game. Bernie Williams of the Yankees selected but hurt. Brian Jordan of the Cardinals bypassed somehow. They're the league leaders. 0-2.
Interesting how Glavine is pitching to Rodriguez. He knows that he can shoot the ball to right field, and he has a big hole on the right side. Those first two pitches were pitches he had to try to pull. See the hole on the right side because they're holding Rodriguez at first base.
Still 0-2. We're in the top of the fourth. The National Leaguers got two in the bottom half of the third, and they lead it 2-0.
One thing against him winning a batting championship, Bob, is the fact that the heat in Texas and, being a catcher, it takes its toll over the course of a season. It's going to be very difficult for him to keep his stamina and to keep up with the other good hitters in the league.
He serves one into shallow center field. Here comes Walker. It drops in front of him.
And that's the problem with this big ballpark. The outfielders have to play so deep that anything that's blooped or hit softly will fall in front of the outfielders. And Ivan Rodriguez is a guy that makes contact. It's like a changeup away, and he just kind of reaches out, flips it into center field for a base hit. This is a changeup from Glavine, which is one of his best pitches. He fools him, but he keeps the bat right on line and just lines it in the center field for a soft base hit.
He's now 2 for 2 with a pair of singles. Alex and Ivan Rodriguez, not related, open the fourth with hits. Neither hit especially hard, but now Glavine's in a jam as he faces Ripken, who hit into a double play his first time up. The streak is at 25-66 and counting. The All-Star game does not count toward that number, of course. In the air to deep right. Gwynn goes back. Gwynn toward the line and looking up, and it's off the top of the fence. Very nearly a home run. Alex Rodriguez scores. Ivan Rodriguez right behind him. The double by Ripken ties the game, and he missed a 3-run homer by what seemed like inches.
The pitch is up a little bit, and Ripken's going the other way, and the ball travels well here. We've already said that he didn't hit this ball especially well. See, the pitch is away, goes out, hits it toward the end of the bat, and he doesn't think he got enough of it. But it's high enough, just not far enough. And Gwynn, by the time he tracks it down, 2 runs have scored. Gwynn knows I can't get it right here, so he's trying to play the carom, but it bounces away from him anyway. That ball hit about a foot below the fence before the... Otherwise, it would have been a 3-run homer.
Pitcher's spot next. Clemens was going to be done in any case, working just 1 inning. And it's the Tigers' Damian Easley who's called upon a pinch hit against Glavine. Game tied at 2. Ripken at second. Still nobody out. Ball 1. Well, Clemens referred to Barry Bonds' ball as a pop-up. It pinned Lofton to the left field fence. 3 hits in this inning against Glavine. None of them struck particularly hard, but the game is tied. Bounced over Glavine. Biggio to his right to flag it down. No play. Ripken moves up to third. Infield pinch hit for Damian Easley.
Nice job by Biggio to keep the ball on the infield and keep Ripken from scoring. Sinker down and away, chops it right back up the middle. It's the other part of this ballpark why it's a good hitter's ballpark. The infield is also very fast. And a nice job there by Biggio. And that's why he's a Gold Glover. He knows what he's supposed to do, keeps the ball on the infield, gives it back to Walt Weiss.
Ripken at third, Easley at first. Nobody out. Infield looks for the double play. Tough to do against Lofton, who singled and walked. Strike one to him. A ball and a strike, although Lofton's batting average was high in his one season in Atlanta. He certainly wasn't himself on the bases, thrown out stealing 20 times. Wasn't his usual Gold Glove self in center field either. Better off back of the American League and comfortable at Jacobs Field. A check swing, Glavine, nice play. Looks to first and gets him. Ripken holding third and Easley moving up to second.
The entire Atlanta Braves pitching staff, they fill their positions very well. And one of the reasons is watch where he ends up. He is not a power pitcher, so he ends up in good fielding position. Watch his position after he throws. See right there, good fielding position. A lot of pitchers, they overthrow, so they fall off to one side or another. And he makes this play and he throws out the speedy Lofton. Look at this, he's prepared to, once you throw the ball, you become a fielder. That's an excellent play. All good athletes on the Atlanta Braves pitching staff.
Robbie Alomar has a bunt single and a pop out. His brother Sandy Alomar Jr., also a member of the American League All-Star team, a reserve catcher behind the starter Ivan Rodriguez. Blocked by Piazza.
You see the National League playing this a little differently than the American League did. They are not playing the infield in with runners at second and third. They know Coors Field. They know that you can come back and score a lot of runs, and they do not want to let the American League have a big inning because they're playing in. So a little different strategy here by the managers.
2 balls and a strike to Alomar.
Alomar had a lot of problems with his shoulder, and he was, had a lot of problems hitting right-handed last year. And just watching him here, he's kind of sweeping the bat. I still think that he's not back to where he was before from the right side.
That makes the seats, and the count evens at 2-2.
Alomar was a very good hitter from both sides, but watch, he kind of sweeps the bat here. He doesn't really throw the head of the bat out like he did before. And I think a lot of that is due to the fact that his shoulders was injured last year, and he did not hit right-handed very much. See right there, that's not a good swing. That's not a Roberto Alomar swing of, say, 2 years ago. This pitch is a pretty good pitch to hit, but he kind of sweeps the bat on the inside pitch. Look at that. See, he kind of sweeps it. Not a good quick swing here. In under the hands, but pretty good pitch to hit.
Two on, 2 in, 2-2 game, and the 2-2 pitch. But first, Glavine steps off. A lot of pitches for an all-star outing. Up and in, full count. Ken Griffey Jr. waits on deck. The bases are loaded for Griffey. And moving into the on-deck circle is Juan Gonzalez, eyeing another big RBI opportunity. He failed to come through his first 2 times, each time with runners at first and third and just 1 out. Kevin Brown, now the Padres, gets up to throw in the National League bullpen. Glavine to Griffey. Now the 0-1. Quickly ahead of him 0-2. Ripken is at third. Easley at second. Alomar at first. One out, top of the fourth. 2 runs home to tie the game. The American Leaguers already have 8 hits. National League with just 2. The 0-2 pitch.
If you're a left-handed pitcher and you have a pretty good fastball, I think the way to pitch Ken Griffey Jr. is up under the hands. If you get ahead of him, as Glavine has here, and he tried to go up and in. But that last pitch may have been a purpose pitch just to open up the outside corner. Ken Griffey Jr. won the home run derby yesterday, defeated Jim Thome in the finals.
Glavine works 1-2. And Griffey fouls it off. With Sosa and McGuire, he's one of 3 at the break on a 60-plus pace. There are 5 on a 50-plus pace and 10 projected to hit 45 or more. So with all due respect to these players, Griffey, McGuire, guys like that bound for the Hall of Fame, they couldn't have picked a better time to hit the primes of their careers. All conditions favor the hitters, especially the power hitters. 2-2. Conditions now, it seems to me, are making average hitters good, good hitters great, and great hitters historic.
Well, you have to remember, I think that's a very good explanation there of the situation, because you know Griffey, McGuire, these guys are all great home run hitters anyway, and the conditions this year are really helping them a little bit more.
And now a full count. And even for Glavine, the master nibbler, no margin for error.
And this is why Griffey handles left-handed pitchers so well. He was behind 0-2 in the count, and he has failed to bite on pitches just off the plate or just out of the strike zone.
Here comes the 3-2. And we'll do it again. If more than one guy surpasses Maris, does it diminish the achievement?
Well, it depends on whether that's Ken Griffey Jr. or Mark McGuire. In my opinion, if it's either of those two, I would say no.
Because they've established themselves.
They
long
are
since
great,
established themselves.
They're great home run hitters, and they're great hitters.
Glavine walks in the go-ahead run. Griffey was behind in the count, 0-2. But eventually works a walk. So Ripken, who doubled 2 home, eventually scores the 3rd run. Bases remain loaded with 1 out. And Leland decides that Glavine is finished. He wants Brown. We'll step aside and come back to Coors Field after this. Kevin Brown, who helped Jim Leland win the pennant in the World Series last year with the Marlins, comes in. Leland hopeful that that heavy sinker might induce Juan Gonzalez to beat one on the ground and they can get a double play and get out of this inning. Brown 10-3 overall, riding a 7-game winning streak.
And Kevin Brown's not just a sinker ball pitcher, he is also a strikeout pitcher. He throws a heavy sinker and a hard slider, so he's capable of striking Gonzalez out as well.
Easley at third, Alomar at second, Griffey at first. 3 runs home in the top of the 4th. 3-2 American League, and looking for more. And Gonzalez hits one in the air to center field. Walker has it lined up as Easley tags. He sprints for home. The throw is to third. 4-2 American League. And Gonzalez has his all-star RBI. There have been 7 men aboard in the 3 at-bats for Gonzalez. And now he knocks one of them home. RBIs at the break. Speaking of Gonzalez, I mean, that's a season's work. Tommy, the 9th man to bat. Big cut, and he fouls it to the screen.
Bob, it showed the relevance of that 100 RBI he had the other day, the 101st. He had two-run homers off of Randy Johnson. After the second one, which put him over the 100 mark, he was going back to the outfield. The fans gave him a standing ovation, and he actually almost broke down. He was just so emotional about it.
A ball and a strike to Tomey. Kevin Brown was the winning pitcher in the 1992 All-Star game as a member of the Texas Rangers. This is his 4th time as an All-Star and 3rd time in a row. Ahead of Tomey, 1-2. So the Padres add Kevin Brown. Andy Ashby really comes into his own. Trevor Hoffman continues to be literally perfect as a closer. Gwynn is Gwynn. Vaughn has 30 home runs. They're on top in the NL West. The 1-2. 2-2.
I think the key person there of all, though, is Greg Vaughn. And Tony Gwynn said without him, we would not be near first place. Greg Vaughn, 30 home runs. I mean, he has been the big RBI man and a power man for them.
Have you ever seen Jim Tomey take a weak cut?
No, it's a good point.
Remember when Rob Nen faced him a couple of times in the World Series, and the radar gun had Nen in triple digits? Go ahead, see if you can hit it. Tomey unloosened a couple of buttons on his shirt trying. Called strike 3. So Brown gets them out of the top of the 4th, but 4 runs score, and the American League has the lead.
Welcome back to Denver. I'm Jim Gray. As we head to the bottom of the 4th inning, I'm now joined by a man who has electrified all of baseball in the month of June. 20 home runs, Sammy Sosa. Very disappointed Sammy is because he can't play tonight. You hurt your shoulder on Saturday night. How does one hurt their shoulder while sleeping?
Well, I was, having so many problems when I was in the minor league diving in first base, and the other night I sleep over. That's why I becoming a problem. But everybody know that I like to be here, and when I don't, when I'm not in the lineup because something happened to me, can happen to me to happen to anybody. And right now I just starting to really disappoint me because
tough to watch, isn't it?
I believe it is. I've never been in the bench before, but I just want to say that I think that trying to get it ready for the second half, and I think everything going to be okay.
In terms of the second half, of course, the Cubs are going to try and chase the division. You're going to be chasing Roger Maris. Do you think about that home run record of many of the guys here in the National League have come by and say they think that you may have the best chance because pitchers will pitch around Griffey and McGuire, but they won't around you? You think you have the best chance, maybe?
Well, one of the 3 guys, it is up there having a chance. Right now, I'm not thinking about him. I think that if I play good in the second half, my team can go to the, can win the division. That's what I'm thinking about it right now. I'm not, I don't have any thinking in my mind that I'm gonna do. If it happens, I will let you know after the year's over.
Can you hit another 20 in a month?
I'm looking for another month like that, to tell you the truth. See, the discipline that I have right now, everything being real great. I'm going to keep it continue right there, and I think that I have all the ability to do it.
All right, Sammy, we're sorry you're not playing tonight. We look forward to seeing you in the second half of the season.
Thank you very much.
All right, Bob, back upstairs to you and Joe.
Jim, thanks a lot. Chipper Jones walks to start the bottom of the 4th. And believe me, Sammy Sosa, if you do it, you won't have to let us know. The whole world will know. Let's take a look at the pace. Keep in mind, July and August were big home run months. for Roger Maris, just as September was the huge month in 1927 for Babe Ruth when he hit 60. So when you compare the paces, you have to take that into account. Griffey hit 56 a year ago for the Mariners. McGuire 58 for the A's and Cardinals combined. A strike to Piazza. Brad Radke of the Twins, 20-game winner a year ago, 9-6 this year. First time as an All-Star, is the new pitcher for the American League as we go to the bottom of the fourth. Piazza popped out in his only at-bat so far. The big difference, even with all due respect to Griffey, when you look at McGuire, he is the guy doing things now least out of the ordinary for him. His career home runs per time at bat actually are better than Babe Ruth. And the last 2 seasons has just been completely out of sight. No one, including Ruth, has ever hit home runs at this clip, especially since he joined the Cardinals. Piazza laces one to center. Jones will stop at second. Now he speeds for third as the ball is juggled. Close play. He's in there. Well, Ken Griffey Jr. doesn't misplay many. Had he come up with that one cleanly, Jones was going to be content to stop at second.
A great hustle here by Jones. He never slows down his momentum. He slows down, he doesn't stop his momentum. He sees the break from Griffey. He goes, and Griffey just barely misses him at third base. Griffey comes up, and he has a very accurate and strong arm. He throws it right on the money.
Good throw, but he can't avert an error. A rarity, an error charge to Griffey. Now Walker hops it wide of third. Ripken over for a look. It's out of play.
Bob, I want to make one point on that home run chase, and that is that last year, the second half, McGuire hit 27. Griffey hit 26. So if they duplicate that this year, they will both end up with 61 or more home runs.
McGuire, unbelievably, hit 61 home runs in his first 126 games as a Cardinal. And he had a 162-game stretch between 95 and 96 in which he hit 70. So this is well within his general capabilities. Walker pops it up. Ripken now into foul ground to squeeze it for the first out. So the hometown favorite can't bring anybody home. And we go to Jim Gray.
All right, Bob. Tony Gwynn has been taken out of the game. Tony has re-aggravated his left hamstring. He's being taken back into the rocking dressing room for some treatment. They say that he doesn't think that he will miss any time when he goes back to the Padres. He's had this for a couple of weeks, but he kind of pulled it a little bit chasing that ball out there. So it's just a precaution right now. Feels he won't miss any time, but he didn't want to try and hurt it any further and miss time with the Padres. So he's out of the game. Bob?
Thanks, Jim. While Gwynn was in there, he had a couple of RBIs on a third-inning single. Here's Weiss, who slaps it through the right side for a base hit that draws the National League to within 1. Chipper Jones trots home. Piazza stops at second.
Well, Weiss has always been a good high fastball hitter, and Radke throws him a high fastball, and he finds a hole on the right side. High fastball, and he rips it in the right field for a base hit. See that he's a good fastball hitter and a high fastball hitter by the way he holds his hands, and he never drops them. He can get up on top of that fastball.
Now Gary Sheffield comes off the National League bench to pinch hit. Radke's first pitch to him is a called strike. Sheffield from the Marlins to the Dodgers as part of the Piazza deal. Radke steps off. Two on, one out. A run already home in the bottom of the fourth. 4-3 American League. One and one. Leland reunited with many of his past players.
Both from Pittsburgh and Florida, so big reunion for Leland.
In on his fists, and a pop into shallow center field. Actually, it may not leave the infield, and it's taken by Rodriguez in front of Alomar.
Well, not good execution here. With a runner at third base, with runners in scoring position by the National League.
You know, when you look at that chart we saw a moment ago, Leland has had it happen to him twice with excellent teams. The Pirates of the early 90s had to be dismantled. Now the Marlins. You take a look at all the former Expos that are in this game. Remember, Felipe Alou's team led at the time of the strike in 1994. That team had to be taken apart. That's what you hate to see. A ball inside to Biggio. Larry Walker, John Wetland, Moises Alou, and Pedro Martinez, all members of the 94 Expos, who are all-stars in different uniforms tonight. A ball and a strike. Speaking of former Marlins, as we were a moment ago, Devon White, the expansion Diamondbacks representative, is in the on-deck circle. Gwynn had to be removed from the game. His spot due next. That's out of play. Biggio has struck out and been hit by a pitch. He has the second longest consecutive game streak to Ripken, but a very distant second. He's played in 468 in a row. Ripken has played in 438 straight since he passed Gehrig.
But a lot of people are saying it's time for him to take a rest.
Are you one of them?
Uke.
Can't bail you out. 2-2.
That's a good question. I mean, I think we've gone to a point now, Bob, where only Ripken will be able to make that decision. No one else will pull him out.
As great as he has been for the Orioles and for the game, it may have reached a point where the streak has gotten to diminishing returns. Anybody can benefit from the occasional rest, even baseball's greatest Iron Man, and perhaps its greatest image. Lots of terrific people as well as players in this park tonight and around the major leagues, but he is as good a symbol for the game as any. But despite that, an occasional rest wouldn't be the worst thing that ever happened.
He got this loudest ovation in the introductions tonight.
3-2 pitch, runners go with 2 outs, and Biggio takes a called third strike. So the National League scores 1, leaving them 1 behind. You're watching the All-Star Game on NBC. President of the NBC network, Bob Wright, in the red shirt on the right. In the middle, the chairman of NBC Sports, Dick Ebersol, and the acting, soon-to-be official and permanent commissioner, Bud Selig. To Ebersol's right and camera left, and right behind Bud Selig, the all-time home run king, Hank Aaron. There will be a meeting of the owners on Thursday in Chicago. There's Hammer and Hank. And they'll make it official. Bud Selig, who has been the interim commissioner since September of '92, will have the job full-time. Jerry McMorris, the Rockies owner, chaired a committee which for 2 years supposedly was searching for the ideal candidate for commissioner. Rather than disband that committee, they will now assign them to the search for Amelia Earhart and Jimmy Hoffa. But we wish Bud Selig well as he becomes the permanent commissioner. The new pitcher is Andy Ashby, facing Alex Rodriguez. Fastball for a strike. Devon White replaces Tony Gwynn in the batting order and Larry Walker in center. White, a Gold Glove quality outfielder, and Walker moves back to his normal position, right field. One and one. Rodriguez has struck out and singled. A-Rod lifts one to right center. Remember this ballpark and how the ball carries. Goodbye. Joe, when that one left the bat, especially to the opposite field, any other ballpark, routine fly ball.
Well, they've done a study, Bob, that says that the ball travels 7% farther here than any place else. So if a ball is hit 400 feet, it will go 428 feet here. And that's enough usually to get you out of the ballpark. Again, you're right. He didn't think he hit it that well, but immediately Larry Walker took off for the wall. He knew it was going out of here. But this is a good hitter's ballpark.
So a rude how do you do for Andy Ashby. The American Leaguers now lead 5-3. Ashby pitched on Sunday in San Diego and beat the Rockies on a 75-pitch complete game. He says he would have thrown on the second day after start anyway, and he'll just work one inning tonight, so no problem for Jim Leland to call on him. (0-2) to Ivan Rodriguez. Derek Jeter, the Yankees shortstop, confers with one of his best buddies, Alex Rodriguez. When those two are together, obviously they're not teammates, one in Seattle, the other in New York, but when their paths cross, they're just about inseparable. Here's the 1-2 pitch. 2-2 for years and years, and rightly so. It was Ripken at shortstop for the American League. Now he's moved to third base. And you've got A-Rod and Derek Jeter and Nomar Garciaparra, last year's Rookie of the Year. There wasn't room for him on this year's squad. And you've got Omar Vizquel with the 5 Gold Gloves and headed for 6, who is an all-star this year from the Indians. A wealth of talent at the shortstop position.
Well, I think in baseball, everything goes in cycles like that. We talked about how tough it was to make an all-star team at first base in the American League in the past. Now at shortstop is going to be very, very difficult in the future. And the only true natural shortstop, I guess, of the group is Omar Vizquel. He is a defensive specialist that also hits well. The other ones are just great offensive players.
Fastball high, full count to Rodriguez. Alex Rodriguez began the inning with a home run. 5-3 American League. We're in the 5th. In the air, right field, foul and out of play. Andy Ashby is having the year of his life as he faces Ivan Rodriguez here in the 5th. He's 11-5. His ERA is 2.5. He's already thrown 5 complete games, and he really credits the Padres pitching coach, the former A's All-Star Dave Stewart, for turning him around. Walker toward the line and right. Not quite to the track. One out of the 5th. A look back to the last inning when with 2 on, Ripken went the opposite way. Very nearly got it out of here just beneath the yellow line. 2 runs came home on the double. And it began a 4-run outburst for the American League.
And that's the play in which Tony Gwynn aggravated his hamstring and had to leave the ball game. Bob, over the last couple of years, there have been a lot of times when people call for Cal Ripken Jr. to sit down when he was in a slump, but he always seemed to come out of it and end up with good numbers.
This year he's at .258, 7 homers, 36 RBIs. Ashby's 1-1 pitch. Even at the peak of his career, and he was twice the American League's most valuable player, and he's been an all-star every year since 1983. Even at his peak, he was kind of a streaky hitter. He'd go through tremendous hot streaks and then slump for a while.
Exactly, and that's still the way he is at this late in his career.
Hit hard to short. Weiss gobbles it up. Low throw, but McGuire takes care of it. So with 2 out now, we remind you that the aerial shots are brought to you by the Pepsi Aerial Cam, the choice of Major League Baseball, both the cam and the drink. Odds-on favorite to be the American League Rookie of the Year, the Oakland A's representative Ben Grieve steps in. Here's a guy with a dream swing. And dream numbers for a rookie. He's one of 23 first-time All-Stars tonight, ranging from a rookie like Grieve. There's his manager with the A's, Art Howe, one of Mike Hargrove's coaches tonight. Ranging from a rookie like Grieve to longtime veterans like Vizquel and Weiss finally getting their first All-Star chance.
Well, Ben Grieve has been opening a lot of eyes around baseball, and Hall of Famer Willie McCovey says that he's been really impressed by Grieve, and he thinks he's going to be a great hitter.
Three balls and a strike. Not much to quibble with when you look at his form and that classic swing of his. It's out of a slightly open stance, as you see, and draws a 2-out walk.
But like most young players, you can get off to a great start, and the pitchers will try to find a way to get you out, and you will have to make adjustments. And the key will be how well he adjusts to the changes that they make in the next couple of years.
Arrives at first, where McGuire might be saying, how do you like Oakland, kid? I prefer St. Louis, to tell you the truth. Lofton has singled, walked, and bounced to the mound. Takes a strike. As great as Mark McGuire's numbers were, including a 50 home run season and a 49 in Oakland, once he got to St. Louis, man, it was like he went into another galaxy. Hitting one homer every 7 times at bat as a Cardinal.
Well, I think one of the reasons is because he says that he enjoys the National League a little bit more. There's a flow to the game, he says, and in the American League there wasn't that flow, and he can stay grooved and stay in the ball game.
Biggio has it. The flip to Weiss to force Grieve, and that ends the American League first. The homer by Alex Rodriguez gives them a 5-3 lead. New pitcher for the American League, Mike Hargrove, goes to one of his Indians. Terrific young right-hander, Bartolo Colon. New shortstop, Alex Rodriguez, after hitting the homer, is done, replaced by the Yankees' Derek Jeter. And Kenny Lofton, who made the last out in the top half of the inning, is done for the night, replaced in left field by the Angels' Darren Erstad. Devon White will start it in the bottom half of the 5th. They check at third base. No, says Rick Reed of the American League.
Bob, one of the reasons the Indians think they have a chance against the Yankees this season is because of pitchers like Colon and Wright. The hard throwers are the ones that the Yankees seems to have more trouble with. And they've got these two young hard-throwing right-handers, and Jared Wright was the culprit last year when the Indians defeated the Yankees.
Well, as good as the Yankees have been, on pace to win more than 120 games this year for Joe Torre. Remember, the first round is just best out of 5, no matter who you draw. And when you play a superior team, the shorter the series, the better the chance for an upset. You know, if your ace goes out there and pitches a good game in game 1, you force them now to beat you 3 out of 4. That's a tough task for any team. The Yankees are playing .750 baseball. That means winning 3 out of 4. That's not easy to do. White whistles one into left center field. That one gets down and heads for the wall with Griffey in pursuit. White still runs well around second, thinking about a triple, and he is in there.
Well, none other than Hank Aaron says that this is the most exciting play in baseball, not the home run. He finds the gap in left center field, and actually took him a while before he decided he was going to go to third. Now he stretches it out right here, and they did not handle the relay that well. They missed the first cutoff man, and that was the reason he was in there at third base.
Now Mark McGwire is the tying run at the plate. A pitch around situation in the regular season, but here Barry Bonds is on deck. That's A, and B, after all, it's the All-Star game. White sheet to paying customers.
And so far in this ball game, the American League has really gone after him with hard stuff. And Bartolo Colon does have a good fastball. There's another one. So they've been able to say, here, we're going to challenge you. Let's see if you can handle it. But I don't think Rodriguez liked the location of that pitch. He's going to have to tell him, you get it in the middle of the plate like that, you're going to get hurt.
McGuire's hitless. Broken bat ground out to short in the first. And then his nemesis, Roger Clemens, struck him out in the third.
And you can see basically he's made outs on fastballs. And Colon threw that one, but he got it into the middle of the plate. And Rodriguez says, you can't throw it there.
A ball and a strike. One thing they all say as White leads away from third with nobody out about McGwire: he makes you pay for almost every mistake. He'll seldom miss a mistake. Colon gets ahead of him 1-2. One of the factors as we look toward the second half, how many pitches will he get to hit? He's already been walked intentionally 16 times, including once in the 9th inning in Cincinnati on Saturday with the score tied and nobody on base and 2 out. Roger Maris, with Mantle batting behind him, didn't receive a single intentional walk in 1961. Two and two.
It's not a good way of looking at it, but one thing that may help McGwire and Griffey Jr. is that their teams are not playing that well right now. For instance, last week McGwire team was trailing 6-0, and they pitched to him and he hit a home run. Now if the score would have been tied, they would not have pitched to him. So that's one thing to take into consideration the second half, how well the teams will play and what situations they will be hitting in. Griffey's kind of in the same situation. If you're leading the Seattle Mariners or the St. Louis Cardinals by 3 or 4 runs, you go ahead and pitch to these guys and give them an opportunity to hit the home runs. But if it's a tie score, you're not going to pitch to them.
Full count in what might be McGwire's final at bat of the night. And he draws the walk.
Remember Roger Maris and Babe Ruth, their teams won 100+ ball games. And now look at the situations now. You have players who are on teams who are going to be pitched to in a lot more situations than they would be if there was a tie ball game.
Of the 3 top guys this year, only Sosa's Cubs are over 500. Bonds has walked and flied to deep left.
You see the good fastball from Colon. I mean, his ball seems to get there and then jump a little bit once it gets to the plate.
Bonds, a perennial All-Star, still looking for his first All-Star home run. Oh, 2. Fouled away. Bartolo Colon, at age 23, has an ERA of 2.46. Now that's good in any era, very good. But when you consider how high offense is all around baseball, what the average runs scored per game are, in that context, ERAs like these are even more impressive.
Much more impressive. Because usually you give up home runs, one swing of the bat puts a run on the board.
Bonds lays off. Mike Hargrove 0 for 1 as an All-Star manager, lost the '96 game. 0 for 1 as an All-Star player. Flied out against Don Sutton in the '75 game in Milwaukee as a member of the Indians. Bonds goes the opposite way down the line and foul in the corner.
That shows you how good a hitter's park this is. That was just a line drive the other way, and it hits the wall down the left field line. Fastball up and away from Barry. He goes the other way with it, and it's a line drive that goes all the way to the wall.
The National League trails by 2 as they bat in the bottom of the 5th. But they have 2 on with nobody out. Mark Wiley, who is Cologne's pitching coach with the Indians and a member of Mike Hargrove's staff tonight, out to talk with him.
I think what he wants to talk to him about is he is basically throwing all these hitters the same speed. They want him to mix in an off-speed pitch or something different. These good hitters will zero in on one pitch. If you just come after him with a fastball, doesn't matter how good your fastball is, eventually they will catch up with it.
Rolando Araujo, Cuban defector, warming up. Bonds takes it low. Araujo is the representative of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Cologne's 2-2 pitch to Bonds. Again, he goes the opposite way. Erstad over for a look and into foul ground.
Cologne is a guy that he says he gets better the more pitches he throws. He completes a lot of ball games, so he ends up getting better down the stretch. I mean, he's been clocked as high as 96 miles an hour in the 9th inning of games that he has pitched for complete games.
He's a young horse, no doubt about it. Bonds, the 3-time National League MVP, twice with the Pirates, once with the Giants. Hits this one to deep right. This one is on its way. This one is gone. Shot. Bonds' first ever in the All-Star game turns a 5-3 deficit into a 6-5 National League lead.
Well, they throw him a lot of fastballs, and now they try the changeup. Not a good choice. He was late on the fastball, so he comes with a changeup, and Bonds is right on it. When a guy is that late on your fastball, you do him a favor when you throw him a changeup, and that's exactly what Cologne does here, and Barry Bonds right on time in the upper deck.
This is one of the great players of his generation. Speaking of Barry Bonds, as Chipper Jones chops one out towards second, and Alomar throws him out, although he nearly pulled Tomey off the bag. Bonds has been a controversial player, at times not the friendliest of people. He goes through moods, but there is no denying what he has done on the field for a decade or more.
Look at this swing. That's basically a 2-strike swing. He waited, got the change up, and he turned on it, and he hits it into the second deck for a 3-run homer. Puts the National League back ahead in this ball game. And there you see Jim Leyland. Jim Leyland has always been a big supporter of Barry Bonds. Even when Bonds has had problems with other people, Jim Leyland has always supported him.
Had him all those glory years in Pittsburgh, of course. Piazza with a big chopper. Derek Jeter waits on it and still gets him. Might have had to charge it with someone other than Piazza running, but had time to get it playing it that way.
Barry Bonds, of course, the godson of the great Willie Mays. And I had an interesting conversation with the two of them just before the All-Star break, and Willie Mays talked about how much he enjoyed playing in the All-Star game. He said that was his showcase because he got a chance to show the American League how good he was. And Berry was excited about coming to the All-Star game as well this year.
Moises Alou now. Pinch hits for the Rockies, Larry Walker. Alou won the 1994 All-Star game. He was still a member of the Expos then. With an extra inning double into the gap in left center off the White Sox Jason Beret at Pittsburgh. It scored Tony Gwynn with the winning run and snapped a 6-game National League losing streak. Chases a pitch up in his eyes.
Moises Alou is one of the best fastball hitters in either league. He can turn anybody's fastball around. He went up and out of the zone for that fastball. It was 98 miles an hour from Cologne.
And Alou gets a whiff of Cologne as the 5th comes to a close. But it's highlighted by Bond's 3-run shot, and the National League jumps back in front.
Welcome back to Coors Field. I'm Jim Gray. I'm now joined by Mark McGwire. Mark is now finished for the day. Scored a run. Mark, you get a day off now and it all starts up again. How are you going to handle this second half with everybody and the questions and so forth?
Well, same way I handled the first half. I think when I came out and said that I'm going to do the media stuff before a series on the road, I think that's the most sensible thing. It just, I can't let anything affect the way I'm going to play the game, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to play the game of baseball. If home runs happen, they happen. There's not a little knob on that. The bat says, oh, I'm going to hit a home run. This is bat. I work hard at what I do, and I got a lot of hard work in the second half.
What's it like for you when an entire stadium or television audience is watching, expecting you to hit a home run? Do you become disappointed when you don't?
No, because I'm realistic about things. I can't do it every at bat. I can't do it every day. I can't do it every week. It just happens. You go in streaks where you're going to hit some, you get in a nice groove, and then you go in streaks where you hit one every week or so. But I just got to work hard at what I do.
Do you think about the pressure? Of course, we've heard about Maris and losing the hair, and of course what Hank Aaron went through. Do you think about the pressure, or is it just much too soon at this point?
I think it's much too soon. My goal is to finish the season with having red on my goatee. Not if this is all great, then I think maybe the stress and the pressures hit me.
Are you having fun with this?
Oh yeah, I always have fun. This is a great game of baseball. Look at all the fans out here. I know we the players thank the fans for coming back, and what we did in '94 scarred the game, and I think right now it's on an upswing, and there's some great talent in the major leagues right now, and I'm just glad that everybody's coming out to watch us.
If in fact one of you does break the record, whose chances would you like? Yours, Sosa's, Griffey's? How would you handicap this if you were just an average guy sitting at home watching and taking this all in?
Honestly, dead even. I'd do dead even because it's, you just don't know what's going to happen, how they're going to pitch you, what teams in the independent race, and what teams you're playing in the second half that are in the pennant race. There's a lot of things that happen, and they're great talent, and I'm just glad I'm in the class with them.
Mark, good luck to you in the second half. Everybody will be watching.
Thanks, Jim.
Been a pleasure to deal with.
Okay, thank you.
All right, back upstairs to you, Bob and Joe.
Well, he's too modest to say it, Joe, but I think if we had to handicap it, we'd make McGwire the favorite.
Well, he is a more natural home run hitter, although you must admit that Ken Griffey Jr. is the younger of the two.
And this is Griffey fouling it back. Alomar, who just had the infield hit to open the 6th, was running on the pitch.
And I think Griffey has not had a hot streak so far this season. He's just been pretty consistent as far as hitting home runs. And the last couple of weeks, he has really been swinging the bat well. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was to overtake McGwire in the next couple of weeks. Not that McGwire's going to slow down. I just think Griffey's going to get hot.
Griffey 1 for 2 with a bases loaded walk thrown in tonight. Shatters his bat, little roller, doesn't look like there's a play. Galarraga, the new first baseman, and one of the best in the game defensively, had no chance at Alomar at second base, and had come off the bag, and nobody was going to get Griffey sprinting for first.
Well, this bat is just shattered. Way in on his fist. He grounds it just wide of the pitcher's mound. And Galarraga tries to go to second base. That's the only place he could have gone. See this bat, look at the bat fly out there. Galarraga has to wait for the bat to land before he can go get it. And then he only has one play because Griffey was going to be the only player at first base.
So while all this was going on, let's check some of the changes for you. This is not one of them. Juan Gonzalez, for his 4th plate appearance, 0 for 2 with a sacrifice fly. Again, he bats in an RBI situation, cuts and misses on the pitch from Uguet Urbina, the Venezuelan who is the Expos representative. He's 4-2. Look at that ERA. Plus 20 saves, and save opportunities aren't that plentiful when you pitch for the Expos.
You're right. He's done a great job so far. Maybe this is a year for Gonzalez. Seems like every time he comes at bat, he has someone in scoring position.
He's behind in the count, 0-2. Defensive changes for the National League. Hometown favorite Vinny Castilla is in at 3rd. Galarraga is the new first baseman. Javi Lopez of the Braves back at the plate. Piazza is done. And Uguet Urbina of the Expos is the new pitcher. Middle of the infield remains the same. There's Castilla of the Rockies. The 0-2 to Gonzalez. In the dirt, blocked by Lopez.
And that was Uguet's splitter there. That's really kind of his out pitch. He gets a lot of hitters to chase that pitch out of the strike zone.
Infield singles by Alomar and Griffey put runners at 1st and 2nd with nobody out. And Gonzalez goes fishing and fans. He has left about a month's quota of base runners for him tonight. There were at least 2 men on all 4 times he batted. Once the bases were loaded. Only a sacrifice fly to show for it.
And the record that he is chasing, Hack Wilson's record, may be the most difficult to attain of the 2, meaning the home runs record. I think that RBI record is almost untouchable.
Strike 1 to Tomey.
And look at that. And he has stood for the longest, the 67 years. Hack Wilson, he had such a great closing month of August. He had 53 RBIs in 30 games in August, and you talked about how the other ones have closed, meaning Babe Ruth, he had 17 home runs in September. So these guys may be ahead of their pace, but they're going to have to stay hot at the end.
0-2 to Tomey. Well, since 1962, the highest RBI total for anyone in either league is Andres Galarraga's 150 a couple of years ago. I mean, no one even coming close to Hack Wilson's 190. So you're right. Maris and Ruth have been threatened more often than has Hack Wilson.
Well, look at what Gonzalez is up against. He already has 100. He's had such a fantastic first half. He has 101 RBIs, and he's still 89 short of Hack Wilson.
And remember, Wilson did it in 154 game schedule. Maris's 61 came in the first season of 162. Ruth's 60 in a 154 game schedule. The runners break, and there's no play as Lopez wasn't able to find the handle. So a double steal. Alomar to 3rd and Griffey to 2nd. Leaving Tomey in a spot where a single could give the American League the lead back.
Well, Uguet didn't look back at second base, so they just took off, and that's just a tough play for Lopez. No chance for him to field that ball and make a throw to 3rd. His intentions were to block it, but he was able to catch it and keep it in front of him.
Now Urbina ahead on the count, 1-2, could really use a strikeout. 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. Check swing foul.
The one thing about Uguet is he keeps that splitter down, as you noticed. He doesn't get it up in the strike zone. Hitters will chase that pitch more often when it's down.
Here's a note of interest for our old colleague Bob Uecker. Uguet Urbina is the only major leaguer ever with the initials UU. And his brothers are Ulysses Utah Urbina and Ulmer Ulysses Urbina. Uguet's middle name is Urtain. They're all triple U's. The significance of that escapes me. And now the 1-2 pitch.
Tries to throw a fastball by Thome, and he gets a piece of it to stay there. After 3 or 4 splitters, he comes with a fastball, and Thome gets a small piece of it to stay alive. Lopez could not hold on to it.
Derek Jeter, awaiting his first turn at bat tonight, is on deck. Another 1-2 pitch. Down and in, 2-2. Top of the 6th, 6-5 National League. Runners at second and third with 1 out for the American League. 2 speedy runners on the pads. Way outside. Lopez can't find it at first, but Alomar's not going anywhere.
I'm not sure he wasn't crossed up on that pitch. It looked like he was looking for a splitter, and it was a fastball away, and now he's talking to Uget. Watch how late Lopez moves on this pitch. After we take a look at this fastball away, and you see he was not ready for the fastball. He was thinking the pitch was going to break back towards him. So he thinks it's going to come back towards him, and he's just late getting out there. He thought it was going to be a splitter, so he talked to Uget to make sure that they get their signals straight, because when you have a runner on second, you go through a series of signs, and every once in a while you can have a miscommunication.
Here's the 3-2. Walked him. Bases loaded now with 1 out for Jeter. Saturday at 2 Eastern. The WNBA on NBC continues. A battle of expansion teams as opposed to the venerable teams in the WNBA who have been around for 2 years. It's Detroit against Washington. The Shock against the Mystics. The WNBA on NBC Saturday at 2 Eastern Time. Jeter for his first at bat. Big spot for him. Fouls it off.
Jeter is a guy that goes up there swinging. He does not take very many pitches. He's a hacker.
His skipper Joe Torre, World Series champions in '96, knocked out of the playoffs the next year by the Indians in a terrific 5-game series. Back on top this year at the break. Called strike, quickly 0-2. Well, Jeter already has 10 home runs halfway through this year, so he's off to his best power season. Just 24, probably gaining strength with each passing year. One and two.
Bob, Jeter and some of the other young stars, I think, are the reason that baseball is bouncing back, because they're held in such high esteem by the fans. And that wasn't the case a few years ago with the young players or the stars of the game. But a lot of these young stars, the fans really like them, and they're all good guys.
Two and two. Just the shortstop position in the American League is a demonstration of that. Jeter, Rodriguez, Nomar Garciaparra, who had to be left off this year. There's no nicer guy in all of sports than Omar Vizquel of the Indians. That's the kind of image the game wants to have. And in truth, if you could meet every big league ball player, the vast majority of them would be a lot closer to that than to the negative stereotype. A full count. It pops away from Lopez. A run scores. Alomar comes across. Griffey to third. Thome to second. And the game tied at 6. Lopez really having trouble catching the unfamiliar Urbina.
Well, maybe it wasn't a cross-up 2 pitches ago. Maybe he's just having trouble picking up the spin on Uget's ball. That pitch is right down the middle. He had his glove up, but maybe he got it up there a little late, and it bounces away. Now watch, this is a pretty good pitch to handle. Nothing especially tough about it. Right in front of you. But Lopez lets it get by, and that should be scored as a pass ball.
And it is. Tying the game at 6. And now the 3-2 to Jeter. Struck him out. Showed him a different arm angle that time. Dropped down on him a bit.
But he still threw the splitter. And with the first base open, I think it allowed him to throw a different pitch. He had first base open, so he throws it down and away, and Jeter chases it. Well, that's not a splitter. That's just a little cut fastball.
Well, he needed a strikeout in that spot and got it. Now he faces Ivan Rodriguez, who has a pair of singles and has flied to right. There goes the bat on the swing and a miss. A near record javelin distance.
Everything goes farther here in this ballpark, even the bats.
Tossed equipment included.
He was fooled completely by that pitch, and he's just swung at it with his hands, his wrist, and he flips it. It's a long way. Good hammer throw.
Joe, you played with Johnny Bench.
Right.
Ivan Rodriguez has won 6 straight Gold Gloves. Just 26 years old. Many more great years ahead of him. There's also Charles Johnson.
Right.
Now with the Dodgers. How do you rank them among the all-time best, or at least the best you've seen?
Well, I'd always said I wouldn't compare anyone else to Johnny Bench because I think it would be an embarrassment to them. But I have compared Ivan Rodriguez and Charles Johnson to him because I think they are in his class as catchers. Johnny Bench was a different type of a hitter. Johnny was a big clutch situation type guy. He drove in a lot of runs. So from the offensive side, they're all different. Rodriguez is a good hitter, but from a defensive standpoint, you know, you can throw a blanket over the 3 of them.
This one gets away from Lopez. The go-ahead run comes across in the person of Griffey, and Thome to third. That one's a wild pitch. The earlier one, a pass ball.
But it's still something that I thought Lopez should have blocked. It is a wild pitch. See, it's a wild pitch. He tries to block it. He gets over in front of it. It goes off the heel of his glove and bounces away. If it would have bounced up in his chest, he would have kept it in front of him. See, he's trying to get his body over there, but he's a little late. And that's why that ball bounces away from him. He actually seems to be reacting a little late to who gets ball, and I think it may be because he's not picking it up as well out of his hand.
Now the 1-1 pitch. Outside and low, 2-1. This is a game filled with sluggers, but this inning, as we look at your former teammate, Hall of Famer Johnny Bench, this inning a nightmare for the National League. A pair of infield singles, a walk, a pass ball, and a wild pitch as they relinquish the lead. 2-2.
Shocked to see John here. He didn't call me for any tickets.
He's got pull. He doesn't need your help.
Look at that hat, man. I think he's ready for the golf course. He's probably headed up to Tahoe to play in the golf tournament this weekend.
Rodriguez, as we said, just in his mid-20s, he has a chance to catch up with Johnny Bench. Full count. In the last 3 All-Star games before tonight, there were 15 total runs scored. Tonight, we're in the top of the 6th. 13 runs have come across.
This ballpark, as you mentioned at the open,
and another one will trot home. Thome comes in on Rodriguez's 3rd hit of the night. It's 8-6 American League. Big night for the Rangers catcher.
Well, Rodriguez is hitting .350 during the regular season, and the reason he's able to handle any type of pitch is because he doesn't pull off anything. He stays right there, lines the ball to left field, because his first idea is to go to right field, and you throw him anything off speed and he'll pull it, and that's what happens here. And he rips that single to left field.
Ripken's 1 for 3. Rodriguez takes off on the first pitch, and Lopez won't throw.
And he stole that base on Uget, as they did the other one. He is not checking the runners well. He's not stopping them. And here's Rodriguez, a catcher who just takes off. He takes off right away, and he got a good jump and no chance for Lopez to throw him out.
And the 0-1 to Cal. This one's in the dirt. Lopez ought to get combat pay for this half inning.
Well, we talked about how Uget keeps the ball down. Well, tonight he's been keeping it rather low in front of Lopez. He blocks that one.
Mike Piazza in the dugout saying to himself, they got me out of there just in time. Here's the 1-1. In the air to right. Sprinting over is Alou into foul ground, diving, but can't quite make the play. Fans appreciate the effort.
Well, this is one of the things I think the players have really done since coming back from the strike in '94. They have played hard. They have showed the fans that they all still love the game, and I think the fans are starting to respond.
1-2 to Ripken, who's 1 for 3, but the one hit, a double to right that scored 2. And he stays alive.
They're scoring runs, Bob, but not hitting home runs as we anticipated. But we're only in the 6th inning.
Well, there have been a couple.
Yeah,
Rodriguez, Alex Rodriguez for the American League, and Bonds the big 3-run shot for the National League. 2-2 to Ripken. There's A-Rod next to his buddy Derek Jeter. Pair of bachelors who've been known to paint the town. And why not?
What color are they painting?
I believe the old expression is painted red.
Okay.
A bouncing ball to second. Biggio backs up from the outfield grass. He finally puts an end to a 3-run American League 6th. Javi Lopez saying anybody but Urbina when I go back out there next time.
Keith Olbermann back at the All-Star game with Ken Griffey, whose night is over. And does this experience invigorate you? Does this make a lift in the middle of your season to be here with your friends and all the rivals on the National League team?
Well, it's an opportunity to trade stories. Trade stories with Barry, see how the family doing, and everybody else. Larry. So it's a chance to really talk to the guys that I don't see during the season.
Now, everybody here predicted this would be another home run hitting contest. We got 18 hits so far and 14 runs, but only 4 extra base hits. So it's not the home run hitting contest. This is good hitting on both sides.
Well, you've got some great pitchers that are on the mound, and when you got great pitching, the ball doesn't fly as far.
It doesn't?
Nah, no matter where you're playing.
Yeah, I have to ask because everybody else has. Are you tired already of the home run talk?
I don't worry about it. Just whatever happens, happens. I'm not in a position to say anything. I mean, we're still 24, 25 away to even catching it. So it's a long season.
But your night is over. We thank you for taking the last minutes here to join us, Ken.
No problem. See you later.
Good enough. Ken Griffey Jr. Bob, back to you.
Ken, a mellow man.
Yeah, no problem.
Walt Weiss to lead it off, bottom of the 6th. Against Tampa Bay's Rolando Araujo. Technically a major league rookie, but he'll be 30 in less than 2 weeks. And for a decade, he was a member of that terrific Cuban national team. Weiss lifts one into center field. Darren Erstad, who's moved from left to center, makes the catch. So Araujo on the mound is about as experienced as a rookie can be, and he's 10-5 for an expansion team. Changes everywhere. Brocious of the Yankees at third base, O'Neill of the Yankees in left field, Palmeiro of the Orioles in at first base, Erstad from left to center, Manny Ramirez of the Indians in right field. If you're scoring at home, stop. Fernando Vina now to pinch hit. From the Brewers, who were once in the American League and now find themselves in the National. slashed foul. 1-2.
Most people still remember Fernando Vina for being the guy that Albert Bell ran over at second base a couple of years ago, and he was suspended for it. He's a very fine second baseman.
One-two pitch, line toward the gap in left center field. In there for a hit. O'Neill cuts it off. Wide turn for Vina, and a one-out single. Craig Biggio is going to play a long time tonight. He comes up for his 4th at-bat. Actually, officially, it'll be his 3rd since he was hit by a pitch, along with 2 strikeouts so far.
Last year, this time, everyone was hyping him for the most valuable player award. I think it's going to be very difficult for a middle infielder that doesn't hit a lot of home runs to win that award in the future, because these outfielders and first basemen have put up such huge numbers that they're going to be overshadowed.
The guy on the mound, Rolando Araujo, defected from Cuba 2 years ago as of Thursday of this week. It was only a short while ago that his mother, his brother, and his sister-in-law, along with some other relatives, arrived in the Florida Keys on a raft. And Araujo immediately brought them to Tampa Bay. At the major league level, I guess with the possible exception of hockey, where you have so many Europeans and Russians, Canadians and Americans as well, there really is no sport that is as international as baseball is now. And Biggio strikes out for the 3rd time tonight, which is very atypical for him. As of last year, there were more Hispanic players in the majors than African-American players. More and more Asians coming in, even the occasional Australian international scouting becoming so important. And it makes the diverse backgrounds of the players extremely interesting. I mean, the circumstances that this guy comes out of are so much different than most of the people he shares that clubhouse with. Here's Devon White. A liner to center, and White is 2 for 2. He had tripled earlier.
Devon White is having an excellent season for the Diamondbacks. And the roars for Andres the Big Cat.
Still immensely popular here, as you can see, and has had some amazing achievements that basically, at least on a national level, have been overshadowed the last few years. In 1973, he won the batting title at .370 for the Rockies, last man in the National League other than Tony Gwynn to do it. And 2 years ago, he knocked home 150. This ball is well hit to center. Erstad going back. Not quite to the track. Now backs up to the wall as it continues to carry before he puts it away. They leave a couple. And we're back after these words from your local station.
You know, this can't be an extra inning game because I ain't got the players up there.
We'll do like spring training.
That's it, yeah, that's it.
Ed Montague reassuring Mike Hargrove will play by spring training rules. These are National League now rather than American League changes we're looking at. Trevor Hoffman, who has been perfect, 25 of 25 save opportunities this year for the Padres, is in there. Scott Brocious leads off against him for the American League. Edgar Renteria replaces Weiss at shortstop, the lone Marlin representative. New second baseman is the Brewers' Fernando Vina, and the left fielder is the Rockies' Dante Bichette. Oh, 0-2 to Brocious, who hit just .203 last year with the A's and has upped it more than 100 points as a member of the Yankees.
And not just that, Bob, he's driven in a lot of clutch runs. He's on a pace to drive in 100 runs.
He replaced Ripken at third base but he's hitting 9th in the order, and the pitcher spot is now the 8th slot, vacated by Ripken. Top of the 7th. 8 runs, 12 hits, and an error for the American League. 6-8-0 for the Nationals. And Hoffman gets him looking. And we go to Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. I'm joined by Walt Weiss. One of the most touching and poignant scenes of the evening was his 3-year-old son, Brody, who had been infected with the E. coli bacteria infection back in Atlanta a couple of weeks ago. Really was on the brink of fading away and almost losing him. Quite a moment for you when you waved. What went through you when you saw him up there?
I mean, a ton of stuff. I mean, it'll probably take a while to be able to sit back and reflect when I get some quiet time. But it was special having him here. I mean, it was beyond expectations. We didn't think he'd be able to get here.
You're an all-star, but you've certainly found out this month that baseball really hasn't meant a whole lot, has it?
Yeah, I mean, my focus for the most part has been far removed from baseball or the all-star game. But you know, it looks like it'll be a happy ending. My boy's going to be fine, and this has been a great time here for all of us.
Now, you've gotten a lot of wishes and good luck and prayers from throughout the country, and I know there's a special message that you want to say to everybody. You really haven't had much of an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, our whole family's just been blown away by the amount of people that have reached out to us, and it's really been uplifting for me, my wife, and Brody in particular. So just like to thank everybody. I mean, the words can't express. I just like to thank everybody for the way they've been concerned and been thinking about us all along.
He's quite a young man, quite a fighter, Brody, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the one that's most likely to get in trouble as we move along here. But you know, maybe that helped him come back. 'Cause as soon as he turned the corner on this thing, he came storming back. So maybe that helped.
All right, Walt. Everybody's grateful for Brody's condition and happy that it's all worked out.
Thanks a lot, Jim.
All right, let's send it across the way now to Keith Oberman, who's with Cal Ripken.
Well, actually, Jim, Cal Ripken is on his way up here from conversing with his teammates. And I don't think we're going to get him fast enough to. No, here he comes. Come on, we're on, Cal. It's the All-Star game. Everybody's a little bit looser. So you're going home a little early. That's a little odd.
Well, I'm out of the game a little early, but I don't think I get to go home yet.
Well, I mean, but you're out a little early. This is a significant event. Why? Because there are 3 third basemen on the American League lineup?
That could be one of the reasons, yeah. The caliber of talent here, we're all interchangeable, I guess. Or we're all replaceable. I don't know.
Well, now, how about the ball in the 4th inning? The double that would have been a home run for another inch.
Well, I was expecting the ball to kind of curve away, and maybe it's the light air here in Colorado. I'm not sure, but the ball just kind of stayed straight. And I was surprised it just stayed hit the wall. I mean, it was good timing on my part, I think.
I've got to ask, because Joe and Bob were talking about this earlier in the game and talking about the prospect of you resting at some point in the season. Both of them saying that's your call, that's your decision, it's all up to you. So let me just put it out to you there. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, you can really overanalyze and really evaluate the streak any way you want. But
we sportscasters could do that?
Well, I mean, fans, everybody can do that. But the basic thing, it's a very simple approach. I'm the everyday third baseman. I come to the ballpark to play every single day. And I just come out there to get the job done. Sometimes if your performance is down, I'd rather have people talk about your performance.
Cal, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. Cal Ripken, back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Keith. And Cal, Roberto Alomar, who is the only starter remaining in the game for either team. He's 2 for 3 with a walk tonight. With 2 out and nobody on in the top of the 7th. This is a 3-0 pitch from Trevor Hoffman. In there for a called strike. Hoffman has saved 52 of the last 53 games he's been called upon to close over the last couple of years. That's out of play. A rarity for Cal. Not so much in an all-star game. This is the way they usually play it. He plays 6 or 7 innings and then comes out. But he gets to be a spectator while a game in which he was a participant goes on, and he gets to watch his teammate Roberto Alomar go deep. His 3rd hit of the night. This one for the distance. And the American League widens its lead.
Well, I said it was only the 6th inning. We still may see some more home runs in this ballpark. Looked like a breaking ball from Hoffman. That's a changeup.
And that's been his money pitch lately, hasn't it?
Yes, but he was a little bit out in front of it. He actually fools him a little bit, but he just gets good extension, extends the bat out over the plate, and pulls it down the line for a home run.
So Robbie's 3 for 4 with a walk. And it's 9-6 Americans. First at bat for the Yankees, Paul O'Neill.
And Paul O'Neill is probably one of the most underrated players in the American League. I mean, he just continues to hit well year in, year out, drive in runs, clutch runs, hits great with runners in scoring position.
1-2. O'Neill in the All-Star game for the 5th time in his career. His consistent self as always, hitting .323. A bounce to third. Castilla short hops it and gets it. Stretch time for the National League fans. They're down by 3. 7th inning stretch time at Coors Field, and a perfect moment. How appropriate. Harry Carey singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" on the big board. And in attendance at Coors Field tonight, Harry's widow, Dutchie Carey. What an outpouring of appreciation and affection for the longtime voice of the Cardinals and the Cubs, who passed away during the offseason. John Wetland into the game. World Series hero for the Yankees in '96, an All-Star now with the Rangers. Dante Bichette of the Rockies bats for the first time and chops one towards short. Jeter gets it. Sandy Alomar Jr. is the new catcher. Ivan Rodriguez is out of the game. Roberto Alomar remains in the game, and he and his brother are on the field at the same time. Robbie is the only starter remaining in the game as we move into the 7th. And a called strike to Vinny Castilla, whose nickname is Cuz, for my cousin Vinny. With the mask. 2 gone. Once again, the aerial shots brought to you by Pepsi, the choice of Major League Baseball. Two quick outs in the bottom of the 7th. And Javi Lopez comes to the plate. Big numbers again this year for the Braves. Cuts and misses.
Lopez is a guy that's just gotten better each year from an offensive standpoint. I mean, he just continues to drive in runs, raise his average. Very fine hitter.
Mixed bag for Javi in last year's All-Star game. He homered in his only at-bat in Cleveland off Jose Rosado of the Royals, but he also fractured his left thumb in the same game. That homer was the NL's only run last year at Jacobs Field. They lost it 3-1. And he goes down swinging. Wetland comes in and restores some order, working a perfect 7th. 9-6 AL. We go back to the last of the 5th, and Barry Bonds really unloads. And look at this. It hits smack in the middle of the San Francisco Giants insignia hanging from the upper deck. A 3-run shot that gave the National League a 6-5 lead. The American League has since come back to lead at 9-6 as we move to the top of the 8th. The new pitcher is the former Red, Jeff Shaw, now of the Dodgers. He'll pitch in the All-Star game as a Dodger before he ever throws a regular season pitch in their uniform. First at bat for Manny Ramirez, who fouls it off for strike 1.
Manny Ramirez has been the hottest player probably in the American League the last couple of weeks. Really swinging the bat well. He's hit like 8 home runs in a 2-week spell.
He had a 4-home-run weekend coming into the All-Star game, including a grand slam to give him 20 for the year. Shaw led the National League in saves for the Reds a year ago. Tapped foul at the plate.
Good numbers there. 302 batting average, 20 home runs, 71 ribbies.
You can hear the bat shatter as he rolls it to Castilla. Good charging play to throw him out. And we throw it to Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. I'm joined by the manager here of the National League. Jim, you're going to get everybody in the game. You've got your card here in front of you. Seems like that's one of your biggest concerns.
Well, it's going to be real close, and I had to be careful with Schilling. He wasn't just right, so I'm going to save him in case of emergency. And Rick Reed, I want to be real careful with, and Ashby can only go 1, but it's a fun thing, and it's a tough game for both guys to manage because you want to get guys in, but Trevor Huffman, if he had a real easy one, I might have let him go another one, but at the same time, you got to be careful. San Diego opens up a day from now in a pennant race. I don't want to hurt anybody's chances of advancing to postseason play, and so this is a fun thing, and I'm having fun with it, and we're in pretty good shape. If we can come around really, Lou and Rennery, maybe a couple guys get on, and I got Vaughn waiting in that one spot for Hoffman, with a chance to hit a big fly.
You say you're having fun, but I know you're as competitive as a guy as there is out there. Does the score bother you?
Well, right now I don't like it, because we're behind, but I don't know. The score, I guess, for us athletes is always the most important thing. But in a game like this, you can't get crazy either, Jim. So I'm going to watch it. And obviously, I don't like the way it looks right now. But in this ballpark, you don't know.
What's it been like for you to have many of your guys back with you who were with you last year on the Marlins?
Well, it's been very enjoyable. But it's good to see the great players from all around the league. And it's been a nice reunion. It's too short, but it's been fantastic.
Jim, a lot of people are wondering what you might do in your situation with the Marlins. Will you address that here in the second half of the season? Will you continue the season with them? And would you be willing to come back in this entire rebuilding process, or would you care to move on?
Well, I can tell you this. If I can come up with a team like I got tonight, I'd stay there for a long time.
Good way to dodge that one, and we won't badger you here on your own bench. Back up to you, Bob.
Very artful response.
I told
Jim
you he was a
Leland.
great manager. That's the first thing a great manager has to do, be able to dodge questions from his players as well as the media.
2-2 pitch from Jeff Shaw to Rafael Palmeiro. A little flare back a short. Renneria out, can't get to it. So Palmeiro's aboard with 1 out. July 25th and 26th on NBC, the seniors tee it up for the U.S. Senior Open from the Riviera Country Club in Pacific Palisades, California. After strong showings at the Masters and the U.S. Open, Jack Nicklaus looks to become the best of the seniors at their most prestigious championship. The U.S. Senior Open, July 25th and 26th on NBC. Omar Vizquel, 5-time Gold Glove winner, has the best fielding percentage ever for a career for a shortstop.
Bobby's probably the only player in this game that is here mainly because of his defense, but he's also hitting over 300 this year. He's having a good season, but defense is what he specializes in. He's kind of like Ozzie Smith.
There goes the runner, and Vizquel sends one into center field for a hit. Palmeiro's on his way to third. And Vizquel, although he'll always primarily be known for his glove, has become, like Ozzie Smith did, a very effective offensive player. He's hitting .302 this year and comes through with a hit here.
Well, it's a good hit and run situation here. They send Palmeiro, gets a fastball away, lines it into left center field for a base hit. Shaw, fastball away, and he goes the other way with it.
Now Sandy Alomar Jr. First pitch swinging, fouls it off down the right field line. The hero of last year's All-Star game in front of his hometown fans in Cleveland with the game-winning home run.
And also just a big home run that helped put the Indians into the World Series last year. The home run off of Rivera in the playoffs.
Vizquel is running. Little pop, shallow right. This one's in a good spot, too. It plumps down for a hit. Vizquel to third as Palmeiro scores. The American League is in double digits, leading 10-6.
Not just home runs help score runs in this ballpark, but because it's such a big ballpark, all those little bloops, as I talked about earlier, will fall in. I mean, you have to play deep, and anything that's popped up carries enough to get over the infielders' heads, but the outfielders are playing so deep, there's nothing they can do to help them on little flares into the outfield. And we've seen 2 of those this inning, and about 6 during the entire ball game.
So now here comes Dean Palmer, the Royals representative, former Ranger, power threat, has had as many as 38 home runs in a season. If my scorecard is correct, and that's an iffy proposition with these players moving in and out, the only position player who hasn't played yet for the American League is Ray Durham of the White Sox.
He's got such great hands, he's still fielding the ball. He just catches everything.
Durham is the only guy who hasn't hit yet for Mike Hargrove. Omar, as you know, often will field a ball at shortstop barehanded just to hurry the throw, so he doesn't have to bother to switch it from his gloved hand to his throwing hand. He's just amazing. Call strike 1 and 2. Mike Hargrove flatly says, and this is a big statement, there's Ray Ordonez, the youngster with the Mets who makes eye-popping plays, and of course there's Ozzie, who remains the standard, but Hargrove says Vizquel is the best fielding shortstop he's ever seen.
Well, I think he would get a lot of argument on that.
You played with Concepcion.
Yes, and I also saw Ozzie Smith.
Broken bat roll to short. Renteria shovels into second for 1, on to first. Double play, and they needed it to keep things reasonably close. Some kind of record for broken bats tonight. 10-6 American League.
Keith Olbermann at the All-Star game in Denver, and it's a flashback time. That is a very young Mike Hargrove in his at-bat in the 1975 All-Star game in Milwaukee. Mike, memory?
I remember that my knees were shaking so hard and my eyes were blinking that I didn't see the first pitch. It looked like it was a pitch in, and then Don Sutton was pitching. The next pitch he threw a fastball up. I believe I flew out to right field.
I believe we just saw that, but now what happened on that pitch in? They almost hit you and something?
Well, yeah, I didn't see it. I was so nervous. I mean, here I was from the town of Perryton, Texas, a little bit town of the Texas Panhandle, and I'm in an all-star game. Johnny Bench is catching and Don Sutton's pitching, and my knees were shaking and my eyes were blinking so hard I couldn't keep them from blinking, and I didn't see the pitch. So.
And Bench warned you?
He yelled to watch out.
Now you've got everybody in your lineup out here of the regulars or of the position players except Ray Durham. Right. Are you going to try to sneak him in at the end?
Well, we're going to try, but I just got through talking to him, and as sad as it is, you've got to have somebody in reserve in case somebody gets hurt or you go into extra innings. We've done that. We're going to do that probably tonight with Ray Durham. We're doing that also with Aaron Seeley. Pedro Martinez talked to us before the game and said that he'd rather not throw, that he'd rather get ready for his next start. I understand that. He said that his shoulder had a little knot in it, but he's fine. He just didn't want to chance anything. Needed the time, so we put him back in reserve told us that he could pitch in an emergency, so that's how we're going to use him.
But you know from personal experience how important it is to come here and to get in.
Yes, I really do, and I know that when I went there in '75, I believe Alvin Dark was a manager, and there was I would have been disappointed had I not got in, but I would have understood, and I think the guys here are probably disappointed, but I think they do understand.
And Pedro Martinez was fooling around with a bat before, so if something goes wrong here with a 4-run lead at Coors Field, you never know, you might be able to put him in that way.
We could do that. We could do that. Hope not.
Now here I am managing for you, in addition to interviewing you in the middle of the game.
We might as well do it. Everybody else tries to do. So.
Mike Hargrove, we appreciate you stopping by.
My pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bob, back up to you.
Thanks, Keith and Mike. Edgar Renteria, whose offense is beginning to catch up with his defense, hitting .302 with 28 steals now, faces the Red Sox closer Tom Gordon. Still 1-2. Mike Hargrove has a lot of bad memories of Moises Alou from last year's World Series. Alou is at first after beginning this inning with a flare single to right.
We've had more flares than we have home runs in this ball game. Just a lot of flares.
Flares and broken bats, huh?
Yeah.
A bouncer, Castilla knocks it down, make it Brocious. If Castilla's playing for both leagues, we've really got a scoop. So now the National League with something brewing in the bottom of the 8th.
Well, Renteria hits a high chopper, and it appears that maybe Brocious jumped too quickly or maybe lost it in the lights. Now watch him. He's looking up. He's looking up. Now he jumps a little bit too quickly. But we'll see how they score that. Base hit, I guess. Nice leap. Now they change. They give him an error.
And a tough error. The second for the American League. Griffey had one earlier. Vigna of the Brewers singled in his only at bat. They're a base runner away from bringing the tying run to the plate in the 8th. And now it's 3-0. Well, Jim Leland was telling Jim Gray about the potential strategy to get Greg Vaughn up there in a situation where a home run would help out. One more ball to Vigna, and Vaughn will be the tying run at the plate. That's what it is. The bases are loaded after the walk, and Vaughn comes up as a pinch hitter.
Well, that tells you why he's such a great manager. He figures these things out, and he gets his hitters in the right position to help him.
A bloop single to right. An error by the third baseman Brocious. A 4-pitch walk to Vigna. And Vaughn to the plate. Bases loaded, nobody out. Strike one swinging. After last year, the Padres tried to trade Vaughn to the Yankees. He didn't pass the physical, had a bad shoulder. They sent him back. Then they shopped him to other teams, no takers. Boy, are they glad that they were left to keep him. A ball and a strike.
Well, he told me that last year part of the problem was he was being platooned with Ricky Henderson. This year he's had left field all to himself, and Tony Gwynn says they would be down toward the bottom without Greg Vaughn this year.
He hits it hard, and it takes a wicked hop past Brocious. 1 run home, now 2. It's 10-8 with 2 on and nobody out.
Brocious is lucky that this ball took a high bounce over him because it would have gone through him. He gets a breaking ball down and out over the plate, and he rips it down the third baseline. And watch Brocious. He tries to get in front of it, but he is lucky that that ball didn't hit him someplace, because it would have hurt him. Bounces over his shoulder and goes in left field. He says, yeah, I'm lucky. Good hitting there by Vaughn, and he drives in a couple of runs for the National League.
Riley to the mound for a brief chat, but Gordon stays in as the Angels' Troy Percival gets ready. Most runs ever scored in an All-Star game, 20. 1954, American League 11, National League 9. 18 tonight. 2 on, nobody out, bottom of the 8th.
So we're one swing away from maybe breaking that record.
Devon White bounces it foul. He's tripled and singled tonight. Who does Leland have left? I think it's just Jason Kendall and Brett Boone. 1-1.
It's Brett Boone, the representative from the Cincinnati Reds.
In the air to left, on a line, it drops. Vigna being waved home, close play. They got him. And you have to ask why, with nobody out. Paul O'Neill threw him out.
Yeah, he threw a fly ball. I'm also surprised that Greg Vaughn didn't advance. Now watch, he throws him out, but look how high this ball is. It's well over the cutoff man. And Vaughn and the other runner did not move up. But a nice tag there by Sandy Alomar. Nice throw right on the money from Paul O'Neill. And the tag is applied, but the other 2 runners stay at first and second. See, the ball is too high to be cut off.
And now it's Galarraga, who flied to deep center, his only time up. So they could have had the bases loaded with nobody out. Now first and second, 1 down. And a chopper over the mound. Jeter steps on the bag and throws and got him. Make it Vizquel. Thankfully, a commercial break. These changes have my head spinning.
Well, the National League scored 2, but it could have been worse. Devon White hits a single to left field. And watch this throw by Paul O'Neill right on the money to cut down Vigna at the plate. And that saves a run. Nice tag there by Alomar Jr. Now look at this. This is a double play. This is why Vizquel is the best. I mean, this is a very difficult play. Watch the hop he gets. Takes it on the hop, tags it on the move, steps aside and makes the throw. That did look a little bit like the Wizard, didn't it? This is what Hargrove had to say.
Atta baby, atta baby.
Oh, it's his guy, the guy he touts as the best he's ever seen, ending the inning. The National Leaguers scored 2, but it could have been a lot more. The American League's defense bailing them out. They lead 10-8 as we move to the 9th. Rob Nen, last year's Marlin closer, now with the Giants, where he's put up all-star numbers. 2-1 to Brocious.
Watch Rob Nen. He's got an interesting motion in that he taps his front foot just before he throws to the plate, and I think that can be a little distracting to the hitter if you get caught up in it. Watch his front foot.
Through the middle, had Nen dancing. Brocious leads off the 9th with a hit.
He almost didn't get that foot down in time. Watch his foot. Watch him step. He'll step. Right here, step. Now he steps again. Very unusual delivery. Almost. Look at this. I mean, this is a tough position to end up in. And the line drive right back through the middle.
Now Nen faces Darren Erstad. Erstad's 0 for 1. From Fargo, North Dakota. Brocious breaks for second. The throw not in time.
Well, the American League has come out very aggressive against the National League today. I mean, they've stolen bases. They've put hit and runs on. They've done a lot of things that you don't see a lot of times in all-star games. So they've been very aggressive in this ball game.
Rolled to the right side, and Vigna has it eat him up. Brocious to third. They throw in behind him, not in time. On the error, Erstad is at first. With nobody out, runners at the corners as the American League tries to add to a 10-8 advantage.
Well, Erstad, pretty good hitter, hits the ball hard on the ground. Vigna gets over in front of it, takes a little tricky hop there right in front of him, and he's not able to play it. Watch this last bounce. It'll bounce up high, and he wasn't able to get his hands out in front quick enough to make the play.
Now Hargrove gets Durham into the game with the infield in for the National League. Durham bats for Robbie Alomar. So the American League has used all its position players. With Frank Thomas slumping, Albert Bell already being shopped around, we're told, by the White Sox. It's Durham who's the White Sox representative. Erstad goes, and the bouncer eludes Galarraga. In comes Brocious. Erstad to third. 11-8.
You don't see this many hit and runs in a week in Major League Baseball now. It's more of a power game. Durham, a good hitter, having a fine season, rips it into right field for a base hit. Erstad is on the move. Galarraga way off the bag, almost comes down with it, but it goes into right field for a base hit. And they are playing hit and run. They're playing they're stealing bases. They're just doing a little bit of everything.
Paul O'Neill now takes a ball. Erstad at third, I started to mention a moment ago, from Fargo, North Dakota, the hometown of Roger Maris.
Oh. I thought you were going to talk about the movie.
Well, also, you betcha. Yeah, you betcha. Ray Durham breaks for second, and Lopez won't throw.
And again, I mean, this is very aggressive play by the Indians, and I guess Hargrove says, I haven't been able to win a World Series. I'm going to run them to death.
So now as the American League looks to pour it on, second and third, nobody out, and O'Neill taps it foul.
Maybe that's why he's doing all that running. He has more than just his Indian guys over there. He's got the entire league running.
No question, they came here tonight having decided to be very aggressive. They've run at every opportunity. Fastball misses, 3-1.
Tell you what, he sounds loud. That fastball is popping.
Couple of Indians, Vizquel and Alomar Jr. laughing it up. Full count. The gun had that one at 97.
No wonder it's popping.
The payoff. Galarraga dives to make the play, and the Big Cat takes it unassisted with the runners holding.
And Galarraga is known more than just his bat. I mean, they call him the Big Cat because he moves around so quickly over there at first base. He almost got the ball that Durham hit by ranging wide off the bag at first, but this one he comes down with, and Paul O'Neill watched, wasn't real happy.
Galarraga still spry at age 37. Now it's Manny Ramirez, 0 for 1 on the night. Rick Reed of the Mets and Curt Schilling of the Phillies are the only pitchers Jim Leyland hasn't used. Enzo 1 pitch. Hit softly into right. The catch is made by Bichette. Erstad tags the throw. Not in time. He slid under the tag. The former Nebraska Cornhusker punter and place kicker, member of their '95 national championship team, scores to make it 12-8 American League.
Well, Here's the throw. It's going to be a close play at the plate. The throw is a little bit up the line, and Erstad slides back past him. Here's Erstad as he goes to tag up. Slips a little bit, but the ball was deep enough, and he has good enough speed that he was able to get in and score anyway. Lopez tries to block the plate and tag him at the same time, but he wasn't able to do that.
Now Palmeiro, one more look at the play at the plate.
Well, let's take a look. Galarraga lets it go because it's a perfect throw, he thinks, but it's just a little bit up the line, and that was the reason that Erstad was able to get by Lopez.
Beginning with the fourth, the American League has scored in every inning, leading now 12-8. 20 runs combined ties the All-Star record set in 1954 when the American League won 11-9. Hard to believe, Joe, that this is Palmeiro's first All-Star appearance since 1991, but first base in both leagues is so overloaded with talent that even Palmeiro can't break through.
But he has been a very consistent performer, driving in runs and hitting home runs.
Called strike, 3-1. If he wants some solace from history, he can think of Hank Greenberg of the 35 Tigers, who had 103 RBIs at the break, and his own manager Mickey Cochran was managing the American League and didn't take him. Took Lou Gehrig and Jimmy Fox instead. Understandable. Pena won't get it. Durham comes speeding around third. This is the highest scoring All-Star game in history. Palmeiro's 2 for 2. His RBI hit makes it 13-8 American League.
Well, we thought there may be a lot of runs scored here, but we thought it would be in a different fashion. 19 base hits for the American League. And here's the one that breaks the record. Palmeiro, ground ball back through the middle for a base hit. Fastball away. And Durham scores the run that breaks the record.
A strike to Vizquel. Lots of guys playing out of position. Alou is in center field now. Vaughn, a pinch hit earlier, stayed in the game. He's in left. A chopper over the mound, charging Renteria, bare hands. What a play! What a play! The Gold Glover Vizquel has it done to him this time, but it's 13-8 AL.
Bob, during the World Series last year, we talked about how great the two shortstops were, Renteria and Vizquel, and we've seen why tonight. Two barehanded plays. Look at this. This is just a great play by Renteria as he throws out the speedy Vizquel running down the line. Look at this. I mean, this is a very difficult play. He knows if he catches it with his glove, Vizquel will beat it out. Takes one step, throws off balance, and gets some pop on it.
The first All-Star ever from the nation of Colombia.
And that's to Vizquel. He's saying, I got you.
Troy Percival of the Angels on now to try to finish it. Faces Bichette. The only pitchers not used by Mike Hargrove: Aaron Seeley of Texas, Pedro Martinez of the Red Sox. Jason Kendall and Brett Boone are the only National League position players we haven't seen. The only National League pitchers not to appear: Rick Reed of the Mets, Kurt Schilling of the Phillies. The American League has used all of its position players. Bichette lines one down the line in right field, and it's just foul. Ramirez tosses the souvenir up toward the fans.
Cute shoes Ramirez has on, huh? You see him all the way from here. Now, look at these shoes. Ball just fouled down the right field line.
Couple of Rockies to open the bottom of the ninth. Bichette at the plate. Castilla next. Up and in, 1-2. 13 runs, 19 hits, 2 errors for the American League, 8-11-1 for the National League. Struck him out with some major heat.
This fastball kind of tails up and in on Bichette. And you don't have a lot of time to decide whether you're going to swing at it. Up and in, and Bichette a little tardy on it. Percival throws as hard as anyone, and that's a perfect location for that fastball.
In a game in which so many runs were scored, it's probably a defensive play that was as big as any play in the game. Hall O'Neill's throw to the plate, which cut Fernando Vina down, was a real momentum stopper for the National League. They had moved to 10-8, and had Vina stopped at third, they would have had the bases loaded with nobody out. Or had he scored, obviously, it would have been 10-9, and things could have been a whole lot different. This ball is whacked to center, but Erstad has it lined up. So Percival is 1 out from finishing it. And now Jason Kendall, the Pirates catcher, will get into the game, leaving Brett Boone as the only position player we haven't seen for either team.
And that's how the Reds team is going this year anyway. Struggling.
They trade their all-star Jeff Shaw to the Dodgers. Boone gets at it after Sosa's hurt. He sits and watches. Quickly 0-2. Come off the bench as Kendall is and try and catch up with the kind of gas that Percival is pumping out there. It's an unenviable task.
And not only that, Percival kind of hides the ball from you, sidearms you a little bit.
Kendall hangs in. Before we go, I'd like to mention the passing several weeks ago of Shirley Povich, the great sports writer from the Washington Post. Literally covered Babe Ruth, Walter Johnson, Ty Cobb. Wrote splendidly well into his 90s, covered all sports, but baseball was his favorite. Every press box he ever walked into was a classier and more decent place for his presence. Wrote with great style and insight for decades and decades. He'll be missed. This ball is fouled wide of first and into the seats. You ever have a chance to meet Shirley Povich? As sweet a man as you'd ever have the opportunity to know.
I was going to say, you wrote that pretty well. You did.
National Leaguers down to their last strike. Hargrove with Wiley. Torrey alongside him on the other side. Another 0-2 pitch. Bounced through the middle, and it sneaks into center field. So Kendall has reason to smile. An all-star base hit.
Well, Percival is a little different from a lot of the pitchers. He falls off. Watch how he falls off. He's not in good fielding position. Ball hit directly back through the mound, over the mound, and he just kind of waves at it. And watch, Percival falls off toward first base. He's not even thinking about fielding a ball, but he just kind of sticks his glove up.
Now Lewis struck out and singled. Percival not exactly disguising his intentions. Here it is. Go ahead and hit it if you can. The combined 31 hits ties an all-star record. The only thing surprising about this being that Coors Field is the setting, and with all the run production around baseball this year, the only thing surprising about 13-8 is how many bloops and flares have been part of it. That does it. High heat finishes Alou. The American League wins for the second time in a row. 13-8 in Colorado. Roberto Alomar, we're told, has been named the game's MVP. He had 3 hits. One of them was a home run, one of 3 homers in the game. Barry Bonds of the Giants had the only one for the National League, a towering 3-run shot. Alex Rodriguez of the Mariners had an opposite field home run for the American League. And later, Roberto Alomar connected.
Well, from my perspective, the American League came out more aggressive. They started running right in the first inning, and they never stopped until the last inning. So they came here with a purpose, and they played very well.
Joe, as we wait for a possible interview with Roberto Alomar, it occurs to me that there are at least a dozen, maybe more, but at least a dozen of these players in this game who seem to be virtual locks for the Hall of Fame. It's not quite 1971 when 20 players who played in that game in Detroit went to the Hall of Fame, plus Pete Rose, who has the credentials but has been kept out. He'd make it 21. That was unbelievable. But tonight, a goodly number.
Well, you're right. I mean, they've got a lot of players here. Mark McGwire's going to end up with 500 home runs. Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds, all these great players. There are just so many great players in this game. And I think that's what is bringing baseball back. I think people are starting to recognize the talent and the physical skills of all of these great young players that we have in Major League Baseball now. I mean, they've just got sheer physical ability that is starting to set records, you know, for shortstops, guys hitting home runs, challenging the great Ernie Banks. You know, Mark McGwire and Ken Griffey Jr. and Sammy Sosa challenging Roger Maris and Babe Ruth's record. So it's great.
It's been a dismal year for the Baltimore Orioles, but a bright spot tonight as their Roberto Alomar has been named the All-Star MVP. There's a red convertible that's been driven onto the field, and unless it's a giant coincidence, I'm guessing that's the prize.
I don't think he can drive it back to Baltimore, but I'm sure he can figure out how to get it back.
He could probably hire someone to do that for him if he'd like. Here's Keith Olbermann.
Bob, thanks very much. Our All-Star MVP has been selected. It's Roberto Alomar of the Baltimore Orioles, in quite an interesting sequence because his brother Sandy was the MVP last year. And to present the award, here's the director of the Executive Council, Bud Selig. Bud.
Thank you, Keith. Roberto, on behalf of Major League Baseball, it's our privilege to present to you the most valuable player award in this 1998 All-Star game. Congratulations on a job well done.
Thank you, thank you. I feel appreciated by the fans for selecting me to be in the All-Star game, and I want to dedicate this to my family.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Robbie, stay with me here for a second. 3 for 4 home run and the hitting field here, and yet aggressive baseball. Only 5 extra base hits out of 41 in the game. This wasn't what a lot of people expected this ball game.
Well, we came out to play the game and try to win the game. We play aggressive. We play aggressive on the bases, and we came in and got some key hits. I think it was a group thing.
You're the most valuable player. Did you think that in the 8th inning there were 2 most valuable plays? Paul O'Neill's throw was terrific, and then Omar's double play was outstanding.
I think Paul O'Neill play kept us in the game, and after that, Omar Vizquel did a great play for us. They're a true great ball player, but I think it was more of an effort of the whole team, and I'm glad that we won.
Oh, you got the trophy. Congratulations, Robbie. 13-8, Robbie Alomar, the MVP. Bob, back to you.
Keith, thanks very much. And in a game that wound up 13-8, don't forget the contributions of a pair of Yankees. The Yankees have gone 61-20. Prior to the All-Star break, there David Wells pitched 2 scoreless innings as the starter, and as Keith mentioned, Paul O'Neill's throw to the plate that cut down Fernando Vina was one of the most important plays of the night. The final score, Americans 13, Nationals 8. Join us Saturday on NBC Sports for the WNBA as the surprising Detroit Shock. That's what it says here. If you're called the Shock, you should be surprising. They'll take on the Washington Mystics. That's at 2 Eastern Time. Followed at 4 by the Isuzu Celebrity Golf Championship from the shores of Lake Tahoe. That's Saturday on NBC Sports. Tonight after your late local news, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Arsenio Hall on the program, along with Lethal Weapon 4's Chris Rock. For Joe Morgan, Jim Gray, Hannah Storm, and Keith Olbermann, I'm Bob Costas saying so long from Denver. You've been watching the Major League Baseball All-Star Game on NBC.